tackling the best foods to boost your energy.
Okay, Madeline's leading us in a game called Best Food Friends, so we can figure out which food combos provide a 1-2 punch of energy. Hey, Madeline.
Hey, Madeline, it's good to see you.
How are you?
Oh,
always good to see you.
We love you and we miss you. Okay, but let's talk about this, because I didn't realize that a food combination, a 1-2 punch, could be something that, changes how your body feels.
And, the important thing here is picking the right foods, because you want to have some energy now and later. And if you pick a healthy carbohydrate and a fat protein compound, then you're going to have the energy now and energy later. You need that burst of energy from a carbohydrate, a healthy one like fruits or vegetables or a whole grain, and then sustained energy from a fat protein combination that takes longer to digest. So when you combine them in the right way, you'll be all set. Energy now and later.
Okay, Madeline, really quickly, because we want to get to this game, are there any foods you shouldn't pair?
Yeah, there are no-nos.
Okay. There are no bad matches as long as you take the different categories, a carbohydrate food and a fat protein food, and you're good. 2 carbs will just give you quick energy, but not later. But let's get to our game.
Okay, great.
So what we're going to do is make the best match of which 2 go together. So there are certain matches the best fit. So Hoda, why don't we start with you?
Okay.
Which 2 do you think go together the best? Better?
I know exactly which 2. Carrots and hummus.
Good one.
And you would be right.
Oh, I would?
Carrots and hummus. Yes, you did. That's a good one. The carrots and hummus are a great choice because carrots are a healthy carb with just a touch of fruit sugar. And then the hummus has that fat protein punch because tahini is the sesame fat along with chickpeas and some protein. That's a good one. Okay, Jenna, why don't you try next?
Okay, I think you're trying to trick me with the cheese and crackers just because that's my very favorite combination of all things. So I'm going to say cheese and grapes.
And Jenna, you would be right.
Yes, I knew it. Don't follow the shiny ball.
Game.
Okay.
There you go. Because grapes and cheese are a perfect combo. Because actually, grapes are nature's candy. It's a really wonderful fruit. It's a pure carbohydrate, and the fat protein in your cheese will give you that slower digested energy, along with a pop of calcium.
I'm just going to take that as wine and cheese. They're the perfect combo. Thank you for that, Madeline. I will report that to everyone I know.
And the crackers and peanut butter together.
Okay. So crackers and peanut butter.
Yeah, of course. Okay, that's
right.
Good.
That's what's left. What doesn't go well with that? Take some whole wheat crackers. You get that carbohydrate. That's a healthy carb as well, along with peanut butter that's going to give you healthy fat and some protein. And that goes perfectly well together. So you've got 3 great combos. They're economical and they're portable.
Okay. Madeline, thank you. That was awesome.
We miss you. It's great to see you. For more tips on what to eat for more energy, go to hodaandjenna.com.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse. False narrative. Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes the best solutions to our problems aren't found in the drugstore. They're found in the grocery store.
Yeah, so NBC News health and nutrition editor Madeline Fernstrom is about to show us some easy fixes for your ailments, and they are right in your own kitchen. Madeline, it's good to see you. All right, so
to the first question, then, Madeline, we have some of our viewers that have some questions about this. Let's go to Justice from Columbia, South Carolina, to see what they need help with.
Jenna, while I am so happy that it is the summertime and I'm happy for the weather and everything, my skin is super, super dry, especially on my legs, and I just don't know what to do.
All right, let's hear it. Justice, she doesn't want dry skin, and nobody does. So what's good for that?
Okay, the best thing, Justice, and everyone, is to add some fat to your diet, because you need water hydration, but fat is sort of the overall lubricant to keep your cells functioning. Skin is the biggest organ. It's all over. So add a fat like avocados.
Here we go, Madeline.
Here we go. We're going to take a look at this. Let's reveal.
Avocados and tomatoes. Why do these work?
Two of the best ones. The avocado is a heart-healthy fat. You can use it on anything. You can mash it. You can put it on a sandwich or a salad. And you can use other fats like nuts. But tomatoes are a surprise because they are a huge nutrient powerhouse. And it gives you loads of antioxidants. It prevents cellular damage. You're going to have a bunch of vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin E, potassium. And it's easy to incorporate every day. The most important thing about having food for the outside is going to be you eat it every day.
Got it. All right. So we got a viewer, Michelle. She's got a problem that lots of us can relate to. Take a listen.
Hi, this is Michelle from Scottsdale, Arizona. And during the hot months of the summer, my hair gets so dry and brittle. I was wondering, do you have any advice or any tips that can help solve this problem?
Shall we see?
We have a reveal, Madeline, and the winner is?
Okay.
Almonds and eggs.
Almonds and eggs.
Almonds and eggs. Now, the big key here is when you have brittle or dry or damaged hair, protein is great. And one of the best proteins are eggs, because they are the best digested by the body. They're full of B vitamins, especially biotin. That's really important for hair health. Remember, any small deficiencies in your diet can really be reflected in problems in your skin, hair, and nails. And especially if you say, oh, eggs, the American Heart Association goes, these are great for healthy eating. 1 a day, 7 eggs a week are going to be great. And also remember that yolk. That's going to be good. It's got a lot of antioxidants and some vitamin E, so you can't go wrong. And almonds, one of Hoda's favorites, is a top combo because it's got those healthy fats that you need for vibrant hair as well as protein. It's got 2/3 of your vitamin E. So you really got a nutrient powerhouse both with proteins in the eggs and the almonds.
And they're filling too.
Madeline, really quickly, let's get to our viewer, Sarah, see what she has going on.
Yeah.
Hoda, Jenna, I need your help. Every summer, my nails get so cracked and spotty. What should I do?
Okay.
Here's the reveal, Madeline.
This is what we do, Sarah. Raisin bran and asparagus. What a strange combo.
And asparagus. Now, where does this come? Any whole grain, bran cereal is great because it's a good source, is a great source of zinc and B vitamins. Any problems with nails usually have some vitamin or mineral deficiencies or marginal ones. So bran cereal is a great choice. And the raisins are full of iron. That's so important for women's health. And a lot of women are marginally deficient. If you like liver, you can try that. The asparagus is another nutrient powerhouse. It hits all the nutrient bases. It's low in calories. It's got a ton of folic acid, vitamin A, D, E, K. I mean, it's a whole powerhouse of everything you need, and some lesser known nutrients that you need, like phosphorus and copper and a bunch of iron. So incorporate these every day. Food's not going to have that impact unless you have it regularly. But any problems, and these don't go away or solve it, see your doctor because it might be something else.
Madeline,
these are all things we have in our houses anyway, Madeline.
Exactly.
Thank you
We
so
appreciate
much.
that. Thank you, Madeline. For more tips on what to eat for your hair, skin, and nails, go to hodaandjenna.com.
Once I felt what it felt like to breathe for the first time and get that full breath of air, I think it unlocked something where I just wanted to keep exploring.
For Kaylee Dunewald, lifelong health issues led her on a mission.
Take me back to why you ever started exploring plant-based diets.
Growing up, I suffered really severe cases of both asthma and allergies, and saw all these doctors and specialists, and every one of them told me this is just the way I was born. But then when I was 25 years old, I was living in Bali, Indonesia, and embarked on a plant-based diet.
Kaylee says within 2 weeks, her symptoms disappeared.
I really felt like it was my mission in life to share this really powerful story with more people, to let them know that you really have more agency around your health than you might realize.
She embarked on a career change, first becoming a health coach and inspiring others to view food as medicine.
It was very, very powerful work. But once I kind of a year and a half in, I ultimately felt like I needed to make a bigger impact. And so if I could really target the root cause of at least what a lot of these people are suffering from, it's just the food being offered to consumers.
And she did, targeting a rather unexpected food.
How did you decide ice cream was this niche area that you wanted to focus on?
I thought that that would be a really powerful place to start, because proving that you can do that in a nutrient-dense way really shows that you can do it pretty much anywhere.
In 2017, Kaylee launched Sacred Serve, a plant-based gelato made with young coconut meat and packed with superfoods and nutrition.
In a thing of ice cream, we've got activated charcoal, tiger nut flour, and mucuna purines. It sounds healthy, but I don't know what they are.
So we really tried to recreate this nostalgic cookies and cream, but really only working with nutrient-dense ingredients. So our hero in that flavor is tiger nut flour, which tiger nuts are actually not a nut at all. They're this root vegetable, and they're packed with resistant starch, so really good for your digestive health.
I like to cook, and there are certain healthy ingredients that are just really hard to make work. What was the trial and error process like?
What makes ice cream really rich and creamy is a lot of fat, a lot of sugar, and gums and stabilizers. And we don't use any of that. This young Thai coconut meat, it's a pulp material. So it's got a lot of extra fiber, and that's what lends itself to the really rich and creamy texture.
2 years later, Whole Foods started stocking Sacred Serve.
What was that moment like?
Very surreal. I wanted the product to work. I wanted people to love it. And we were really, really well received.
But the cherry on top, Kaylee not only figured out a way to make ice cream relatively healthy for customers, but for the environment too.
I think one of the coolest things is the actual packaging. I had no idea that the regular carton that you get regular ice cream in is not actually biodegradable, is not recyclable. How is this carton different?
What people don't recognize is because it looks like paper, there's actually a thin plastic lining on the inside that acts as a moisture barrier that essentially renders it trash. And so what we've done is we've replaced that plastic moisture barrier with a water-based barrier, so there's no plastic at all in our container, which makes it fully recyclable, compostable, and biodegradable right at home.
Cookies and cream.
As for the taste test,
Mama,
looks like a thumbs up.
Mommy.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your newsfeed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
We are back with a food trend that we've been hearing a lot about lately, meatless meat. It's made to look and taste like the real thing. It's also become big business. In just a year, plant-based meat sales have increased by 26%, bringing in more than $800 million. More restaurants are adding it to the menu. More options are popping up in stores as well. But is it really a healthier option? Dave Zizinko is a Today Health and Wellness contributor. He is also founder of Eat This, Not That, of course. Always good to have you.
Hey, great to see you, Craig.
So these are all the rage now. First of all, what constitutes, I guess, meatless meat, fake meat, if you will?
Well, first of all, it's meat that's made from plants.
Okay.
That's number one. And then these companies were able to basically replicate almost perfectly the taste, the texture, the chemical composition of burgers in this case. And unlike a typical veggie burger of the past, they are trying to get it to taste like meat so that you'll eat more of that.
And even when you
of
cook them, I've noticed that they even cook like your traditional burgers.
Exactly the same.
All right, so
exactly the same.
This is a regular burger.
Right. So,
I know what these taste like, so
if we go through the nutritionals on them, and what you're going to see is that for something like beef, it's going to come in, and feel free to try any of these, it's going to come in at about 287 calories normally. It's got 75 milligrams of sodium, which is great. It's got 23 grams of fat and about 8.6 grams of saturated fat. That's where we are with traditional beef.
Okay, that's the regular burger.
Yeah. Then we move over to Impossible, and that's coming in at about 240 calories. So you're saving around 40. Then it's got 14 grams of fat, which is you're saving there. It's got about the same saturated fat and a little bit more sodium.
Okay. How about the Beyond Meat burger?
And then for Beyond,
I've actually had these on a number of occasions.
Yeah, this is like Impossible, coming in at around 250 calories, a little bit higher when it comes to sodium, but fat is much less fat and a lot less saturated fat. 6 grams of saturated fat is great because women should get about 20 grams a day.
So on the whole, Dave, are these meatless burgers healthier for you than the traditional counterparts?
They're not necessarily healthier because the manufacturers are trying very hard to give you a plant-based meat alternative. They want it to, so it's going to have similar saturated fat, sodium, and calories. However, it's better for you in two important distinctions. It's better for you for eating less red meat because we eat about 2.5 burgers worth of red meat a day, which is 5 times more than we should. And beyond that, it's much better for the planet. It's much more sustainable. So if you're, thinking about the environment and you're trying to eat, less red meat.
And that new UN report just out this morning speaks to that.
Yeah, this is
right, so
no animals were harmed in the making of these products.
It's not just these burgers that we're talking about. This meatless trend is now it's everywhere. Sausages.
And it's exploding, and they are mastering the taste.
What do we
Taste
have here?
dominates everything. These are sausage-based varieties, Beyond Meat, Beyond Sausage, which is terrific. And this is a Light Life sausage, plant-based. And both of them have half the total fat.
That tastes like sausage.
It really is amazing. Wait till you try this other one too. They're both lower in calories, and it looks, it sizzles, and it satisfies like normal sausage.
Now these, I would assume, are healthier than your traditional sausage.
Nutritionally, they are better.
Okay. And this is
overall, and this Light Life has been doing this since 1979 and was well ahead of the trend.
What do we have here?
Okay, so here now we got the before the butcher. This is a breakfast sausage. What's great about this one is it fits perfectly on an English muffin. It's an award winner, and you're basically getting less sodium and double the protein. This one over here is chorizo from Abbott the Butcher, and it is basically developed in a kitchen, not in a lab, which is great. It has a very flavorful.
Now these look just like chicken nuggets.
Yes. This is raised and rooted plant-based nuggets. This is actually Tyson-owned, and it's the only non-vegan option here because it does contain egg whites. But it's
that tastes just like a chicken nugget.
It's amazing, right? This stuff does not
just
taste
like a chicken
like
nugget.
fake meat. This right here is Nugs. What's really interesting about this company is that they're constantly updating their formula. So they keep making it a better and better chicken nugget that's plant-based.
In terms of health.
Yeah, so a year ago they had version 1.0, and now today they have 1.3.1. which is a year later.
Now, what is this?
And then this is Good Catch tuna.
Fake fish?
So what's that? This is fake fish. This is, and it's safe for those with shellfish allergens. So what you're getting here is a lot of the omega-3 fatty acids that you wouldn't necessarily get if you didn't like fish or were allergic to it in this Good Catch tuna.
Have you tried that?
I tried it. It's great.
Is it?
You weren't.
I'm not a tuna guy. I'll taste it, but I'm not. Is this in terms of like health? Is this just as good?
This is nutritionally. It's really great because you get the omega-3s.
Yeah, I'm not a tuna guy.
Okay.
But, if you're into that, you're into that. Thank you.
Yeah,
we always learn something when you're here. Thank you, Dave Zizinko.
The race to carve up the meat market is heating up. This week, Impossible Foods beefed up its roster of meat alternatives, serving up new plant-based pork and sausage.
So I can see there's the sizzle, you have the fat coming out of it. You can also get the aromas.
Smells like pork, it looks like pork.
All without the pig. Award-winning chef Tracy Desjardins advised Impossible on the new pork.
We're seeing a lot of consumers, especially millennials, who really want to make that choice not to eat animals anymore because of the environmental impact. And this is a product that can satisfy all of their meaty needs.
Okay, here we go. We were among the very first outsiders to taste test it.
What do you think?
It's good.
If you were tasting that side by side with ground pork, would you know the difference?
I don't know that I would.
Yeah.
Impossible says their pork has 0 cholesterol, 40% less saturated fat, and more iron. Meat alternatives are predicted to explode, rising from $14 billion of the global meat industry right now to $140 billion by 2029. Impossible Foods already has lucrative deals with big names like Burger King, Red Robin, and White Castle, with more to come. You'll find competitor Beyond Meat served at Carl's Jr., Dunkin', and select McDonald's, with a major expansion announced last week.
This is what goes into an Impossible Burger.
We first met the founder and CEO of Impossible Foods, Pat Brown, back in 2017, when he showed us how he uses liquid heme made from soy to make their burgers bleed like real beef, the same key ingredient in the new pork. We caught up with him in Las Vegas, where he told us he chose to do pork after beef because it's the most consumed meat in the world.
It's simple ingredients that come from the farm, that come from nature. Nothing weird is done to them, and that are combined to produce a product that we think is like more than the sum of the parts.
His larger focus is pork's negative environmental impact.
When you eat a pound of pork, it's the equivalent of driving about 17 miles in a typical American car.
That's because of greenhouse gas emissions like methane released into the air during meat production. As for your personal health, nutrition specialists like Dr. Vijaya Sarampudi at UCLA say there's no conclusive research yet on whether these juicy alternatives are good for you.
Am I eating something healthy? Not necessarily.
And why not?
Because it is still technically processed. You still have, the same degree of fat. You have more salt in it.
Sarampudi says meat substitutes like Impossible are so new to the market that more research needs to be done.
We want to know things, long-term things. Does it affect our cholesterol? Does it affect our blood pressure? Does it affect cancer risk? Does it affect heart disease risk? So bottom line here, what's your recommendation? So I think anything is fine in moderation, but ideally you would focus on a plant-based diet where you have whole vegetables, whole fruits, whole grains.
Is there a downside to consuming Impossible meat or plant-based meat?
If you love meat and you're going to buy meat, you're much better off from a personal health standpoint, from a public health standpoint, from an environmental standpoint, from an animal welfare standpoint, buying Impossible pork or the Impossible burger. If you want a carrot, eat a carrot.
An ongoing debate leaving consumers with plenty to chew on.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends of today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Does it count if it's a watermelon margarita?
Always trying to beat the system.
I'm just asking.
You gotta love Bobby Thomas.
There are people watching that understand. I'm here with one of my favorite people, Joy Bauer, the one and only, who is beautiful on the outside, but just as beautiful on the inside.
Thank you for that.
But you also know so much about what to put inside to help us feel just a touch prettier on the outside. And let's talk about water.
So water's great for 3 different reasons. First is it helps to flush out the toxins that we have within our body. The second thing is that it helps to circulate nutrients and oxygen to all of our skin cells. And it also helps to plump up and firm your skin so that it looks smoother, it looks clearer, it looks truly more beautiful.
I'm gonna try to get more glasses of water in, but if I can't drink the water, how else can I sneak water into my diet?
There's a lot of ways that you can sip water. Reduced sodium broth is fantastic because it's all water and it's got a little bit of flavor. And because you don't want to get a lot of salt along with the water, I would say definitely look for lower sodium brands. And you could do vegetable or you could do chicken. It's all great. Another great thing is green tea. Not only is it giving you great hydration for beautiful skin, but you're also getting antioxidants within the green tea that are fantastic for a glowing complexion. So starting with some fruits, we have grapefruits, watermelon, and strawberries. They are about 90% water.
Watermelon is one of my personal favorites. Is this too sugary? Is there enough water in it?
It is not too sugary. It's got something called lycopene, which is an antioxidant that's really good for your skin, and it also has a lot of vitamin C.
So fruits have a lot of water. What about vegetables?
So some vegetables have even more water content than the fruits we just went over. If you could imagine cucumbers, lettuce, and celery have about 95% water. I'm gonna show you how to make, I call it a cucalicious dip. This is an easy thing. So this is just yogurt.
Okay.
So it's a single 6-ounce container of any yogurt that you want. I'm using a Greek yogurt because you get like a huge punch of protein and it's thicker and it's tangier. So now what we're gonna do is grate a cucumber. It could be a regular sized cucumber or one of these minis.
And why do you grate it? Just to get the different texture?
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's perfect for a dip then.
And I can see the water right on the grater.
That's right.
Wild.
And I keep the skin on because you're getting some fiber with that as well. You know, we might as well go for the gusto.
Okay.
So why don't you mix that up? I'm gonna wash my hands. So really we're creating like a tzatziki sauce, right?
My parents had a Greek restaurant forever, so I'm familiar.
Ah,
and I didn't know this was so good for you.
And I'm going to put in a little ground cumin because everything's better with cumin. Do you agree?
I will take your word for it.
Do you like garlic?
I do love garlic.
Okay, good. A little bit of garlic.
Okay.
Nice color, right? And a pinch of some ground black pepper and a little bit of kosher salt. Great. And now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop in some cilantro. But really, you can make this recipe whatever you want. You could put in dill, fresh mint, anything goes, even oregano.
Okay. Beautiful
Here we go.
foods.
There you go. Mix that in.
Okay.
It's pretty, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
There you go. Your girls' night in or your spa day.
You could do this, guys. It's so simple.
So simple.
Let me grab one. Let me test it out for you.
So this is loaded with extra water because of the cucumber.
We have the cucumber within, and then we're dipping it with celery and cucumber.
Okay, so load up on your veggies. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Good.
You came up 101 flights.
Yeah.
How are you with heights?
I love it because I hated it as a kid.
Yeah.
And I don't know about, oh gosh, I'm just remembering now. Like, I had such a fear of heights. And growing up in Australia, everyone seems to be jumping off something, going rock climbing. Everyone's doing something to do with heights, roller coasters, and it was a nightmare because I had all older brothers and sisters, so I was trying to keep up with them. And I'll never forget, we went on a school trip. I was probably 12, and it was the first time I'd rock climbed.
Oh, jeez.
And so my group were there, and I was the first one up. So I'm halfway up this rock climb, and I freeze. I'm actually just thinking about it. I absolutely froze, and the guy's trying to encourage me, and I can hear snickering from the other 15 kids. And it just got worse and worse. I'm shaking. The guy said, "You're going to have to come down." I said, no, I'm not coming. No, I'm going to get there. And he goes, no, you're coming down. So he lowers me down, and I can just hear the laughter. And I started to cry, and I turned to them and I said, well, you just wait till you try it. You just wait. You wait. It's really hard. So I come down. They're all like snickering, and one by one, they all
went
just
to the top?
No problem. They just flew up. And for the next 3 years, it literally became. That was the catchphrase. So anything I did in school, and people would be like, well, you just wait till you have to try it. Like, all right, let's do this math test. Well, you wait till you have to try it. And I'm like, never lived it down. So I actually went to the diving board at our school, and I just jumped off it until at lunchtime for like a week until I got over it. And now I love it.
Is that like your philosophy on life? When there's something in the way, you just have to like look it in the eye?
Totally.
And do it?
I am quite I was a fearful kid, fearful of heights, fearful of the dark. I never liked being in a house on my own. And then when people say what's your biggest fear, it's fear itself for me, because it just stops you living. It stops you enjoying so many things. And so I just always, if I'm scared of something, if I have to bungee jump, which I now would love, I'll be straight off. Don't think about it, just go.
Wait, you would do that without?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
why, have you got one set up?
There's no way
we are 101 floors up. Could be.
I know.
Well, be a first.
Well, you're like an action guy too, so you have to kind of
pretend.
you don't really do any of that stuff. How do you teach your kids to overcome fear? Like, what's the way to teach?
That's a really good question. The first thing I teach them now, which I didn't, is to admit it. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to say you're scared. It's not embarrassing to be scared. It's normal. And by the way, sometimes it's a really smart thing to be scared, right? Mm-hmm. As a parent, I think the amount of things I should have been more scared of, you know, but just admit it and don't be harsh on yourself. I think my main message to them now is no good comes out of being harsh. Harshness doesn't really achieve anything. Even with yourself, you can be firm with yourself, you can push yourself a little bit, but do it with more loving ways. So, you know, it's a fine balance, isn't it? Because we all know that there are hurdles in life, and you have to kind of push through them, whether it be the first date, the SAT, whatever that first test. You do have to push through it, but my philosophy is to be kinder about it to yourself.
They were right.
What about you?
Well, you know what though? I want to tell you one thing. They were right. We have a woman who works with me who does hair, and a woman who works with me who does makeup. And they said, when you sit and visit with Hugh, you will never think that he's Hollywood. You'll think he's your friend. And I just want to say that they were right.
Oh, thank you.
They were right. They were right. They're not here.
They're not here. No.
They're not here.
Long
but
time.
they were right. They were right.
Thank you.
So that's such a great trait. Wow. I mean, because it's in this business, it's hard to keep that, I think.
Well, if you want to ask my guys who are here, I'll give you the opposite point of view.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They're like,
the laughter, there it is. Listen, I think for me, my first job in anything as an actor, I was 26. So I think it's really hard. I really feel for the kids who become very famous and successful early on in life. I mean, I didn't know. I would say 25 is when I started to get a little bit of a handle on who I was, where I was going. By 26, I mean, X-Men was my first real movie in America. I was 30. Now at 30, you know who you are, right? So if someone hands you a for example, sexiest man alive, I only try to mention it once in every interview, Hoda, but I'm like, well, I do remember a good solid 10 years of literally not being noticed and getting turned down every corner. So it's weird that I'm all of a sudden that guy,
That guy.
So I think it helps having had some rejection and some real life experience.
Welcome to Today All Day.
All day?
Today, all day.
All day.
This is a long way of asking who's your favorite character you've ever played? The unicorn.
The unicorn. You gotta have the unicorn.
What is she right there? That's why you're saying all these nice things?
Yeah, she gave me the look. Sorry to disturb your day.
Everyone's mad at you, Willie.
Better make this fast. I don't want the wrath of Luna.
When I see you, I always think, I wonder what his quote would be.
Give us 6 minutes and we'll ask as many questions as we can.
Welcome to Cold Cuts.
Cold cut, cold cut.
My buddy Cal cooking with me.
Dads don't babysit. It's called parenting.
What was the first book you remember loving?
Heart Smart Today with simple exercises to strengthen your heart. Make the most of your beach days.
It's all about the tracksuit now. How good do they look?
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Kiss the bride.
This morning, a story of people helping people.
You've received tons of letters from people who have been inspired.
Let's do the weather out. Okay. All you gotta do is say, it's cold, it's warm, it's raining, it's snowing. That's it.
One of our most favorite franchises ever, Ambush Makeovers.
Okay.
Look at it. It doesn't look so good.
No, it doesn't look good.
Will you judge us in a cook-off?
I will, and you guys will definitely win something.
Today, all day.
All day?
All day.
Welcome to Today, all day.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
I was thinking about the projects you choose and why you choose them, because you choose so many. You're like such a Renaissance guy. I mean, I see you on Broadway. I saw your one-man show. I thought that was incredible.
Thank you.
See, in X-Men, you do all kinds of things. You're about to do The Music Man. You've got this movie that's coming out right now.
Yeah.
So when you're choosing a project, does it have to check a box, or do you go on gut, or what is it?
Gut, more and more. And if there's a box to be checked, I have to be a little bit nervous about it. I have to feel there's a challenge to it. That brings out the best in me. And also it means I know that I'm going to have to grow. You know, if I go, I've done that, I know how to do that, I probably wouldn't say yes. Director and script. So the story, director, the people you're working with are key, and then gut. More and more I trust my gut. And if I look back, the times I've trusted my gut, against all reason, it almost always works out.
All you have to do is follow my voice.
Tell me about Reminiscence. So when this project came to you, I know the director sought you out. I mean, came for you, literally came for you, said, this is for you. What appealed to you about this movie?
Well, first of all, Lisa Joy, who's one of the creators of Westworld, which I was a fan of and I think is amazing. I already knew of her work, so I was already very, very intrigued. She's an incredibly original, smart voice. in our business. And so when she came to me, she did tell me, she said, I wrote this 5 years ago. I wrote this before Westworld, but I knew I wouldn't get the money for it until I had a success behind me. But you were always the one in my mind. Now, whenever someone says that, I presume that Brad's turned it down, but that's fine. But actually, I do believe her. She did say it more than once, even after we'd finished the film. So, and it's incredibly humbling in a way to think that someone is thinking that they know your work or they think they know you. But for me, there was something so original about this story. It grabbed me in that at the beginning of the story, I feel like I'm playing like a Bogart type of character in like a classic sort of film, and then all of a sudden it goes off and I'm like, I have no idea where this is going. And that's such a rare thing when you watch a movie or when you read a script, you think, I have no idea where this is going. And I actually rang my agent 20 pages in and I said, I'm doing this movie. I haven't even finished yet, I'm doing it.
Well, you play such a broken man. Like in the beginning, you're kind of fooled by you, and then you watch as your character just kind of unravels. How do you get into that head?
Well, it's the real me. No. I do a lot of work in creating the character. So the thing I ask myself is, if someone had to play me, or if I had to play you, what would I need to know to play Hoda? And as soon as you ask yourself that question, you think, well, there's a hell of a lot more someone would need to know than what I present. You need to know a lot of the stuff that I cover up, that I don't want you to see, the things I'm embarrassed by, all the background. So I do all that work. And I really try to give each character that respect, because for me, that's the fun. That's the creation. That's the digging, the archaeology of acting and getting into humanity. So I do all that work, particularly around he's a decorated war veteran with obvious PTSD. So I did a lot of work on that and what that means and what the reality of that is. And there's a lot of research about it. And then try to imagine that character in this situation. Even though it's set in the future, it's very relevant to today.
Well, I saw the love story is very dark too, and twisted, and like you're always leaning in, what's happening, what's going on with those two, and it's electric. And I was looking back because I said, I wonder, it struck me just about your real life love. And I said, wow, look at Hugh, married 25 years.
Yeah, 25.
Like, is it like that?
No. We're not twisted and dark. You know Deb. Deb is the lightest, most optimistic person I've ever met in my life. Like, she, honestly, if you ever want to play the game, who's the happiest person in the room, Deb wins. Just know Deb wins. She literally, and I'm probably too much information and she'll say, please don't, but anyway, this is Deb. When she goes to bed, she's like one of those dolls that when their eyes are open, as soon as they're horizontal, the eyes close, and then as soon as you tip them, she wakes up in the morning like this. She's like, hey, morning, hi, what are we doing today? Oh, it's going to be so great. I'm just like, whoa, back it up, slow it down, give me some coffee, give me a second. She's like, all right.
She's ready. She's ready to go.
She just makes the most of everything. Cut to Reminiscence, even though played by the incredible Rebecca Ferguson, who plays May, who I was with in The Greatest Showman and who I love. That's a love story that borders on obsession.
Yes.
When you fall so hard and fast in love with someone, and the question becomes, when you're in love with someone in those early throes of love, is it really the person you're seeing or what you want to see? And then in our story, that person disappears very quickly in the middle of that height of that romance. And then it becomes this obsession to find her and what's going on. And that leads me into the dark world. So yeah, that's very different with Deb. I
got chills. I don't know why.
Chills?
I don't know why. I got it. I'm not sure why.
World?
I think it's that. Something about it just creeped me out a little bit.
Deb is, anyway.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, when you and Deb met, did you, was it was just,
I knew it before
it was
her.
instant. Yeah.
I knew
you
it before her.
Yeah.
She will often say, I had a New Year's resolution that year, I'm not going to date any more actors and none under 30. Meet my husband. Like, so I knew early on, and I don't know why, I'm very indecisive by nature. I am not the kind of person, I don't go to dinner with me, it's a nightmare. I don't know, what do you think? I like the chicken, but what do you think? This looks good. And Deb would be like, let's go. But with a few times in my life, Deb being one, I knew 100%. I just knew off the bat. Well, 2 weeks in. Off the bat would be a little crazy.
But 100% though, after a couple of weeks is amazing.
100%. Yeah. Deb actually tried to break up with me about 3 weeks into our relationship. This is the second time I'm sharing too much. Sorry, Deb. And it was obvious to me that she was getting ready. And normally, my playbook for that situation is, hey, I'm breaking up with you before you break up with me. I'm out, right?
Yeah.
And I just turned to her. We were driving back in the car, and I said, are you trying to work up the courage to break up with me? Are you trying to, in your head? And she goes, yes. I said, you just better get over it. It's not going to happen. I know it. And she went, okay. And that was it.
And 25
And as
years
those
later.
words came out of my mouth, Hoda, I was like, who's that guy talking? That's not me. But it was just, people often say, oh my God, marriage is so much work. And I just, there are some things you've got to live by, but it hasn't felt like that.
I can
It's
tell.
been one of the best things.
By the way, eyes
by
are a
far.
giveaway in life, man. Eyes are a
really?
giveaway. Yeah, and whenever
Right.
you say it or just saying her name, like it's cool to see true love 25 years later.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic.
Exclusive interviews
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
and important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Still too close to call. Lester Holt reporting from the
Ground zero, as it's being referred to.
Is in fact the taste of freedom.
The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now?
Some of the troops who have been proud.
I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. Here are some resilient folks. Let me get a hint.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
I love this movie for a bunch of reasons, but it's also about memory.
Right.
And it's funny, as I was watching it too, I was actually thinking of a story you told a while ago. And it struck me, and I've retold it, and I've probably retold it wrong, and I've told it at speeches because I just loved it so much.
Right.
And it was the story of your first time at Carnegie Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm getting chills again. But I think because it defined something, I'm not sure why that spoke to me so, but sometimes I'll say it in a speech or whatever because it moved me. For people who don't know it, I know it's this little short story, but will you tell that again for me?
Misting up a little bit?
Yeah.
I am too, I have to tell you. So, my dad never missed a day of work in his life. He worked for Pricewaterhouse his whole life, literally one company. Never missed a day, except for 3. And that was when I was offered to sing at Carnegie Hall. He's so sweet. And it was a big moment for me, obviously. I'd never sung in America before at the time. And I rang my dad, who's always very supportive, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what. Hugh, when you played Van Helsing, that was just so great work. He had no interest in that movie at all. Yeah. So when I told him about Carnegie Hall, he was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be there. I'm totally coming. So he did. It was 3 days. It was a 24-hour flight from Sydney. Mm-hmm. He was there for 24 hours and then a 24-hour flight back, straight to the office. And I rang him and I said, Dad, it's black tie. As soon as you arrive, I'll be in touch with you and we'll arrange everything. So he arrived on the day of the performance. And So I found out while he was in the air that it wasn't black tie. And I was it was business casual or something. I was freaking out because I thought, well, maybe Dad is, maybe that's all he's brought. Maybe he's coming in playing gear and a black tie, right? So the moment he landed, I said, Dad, I'm so sorry, it's not black tie, it's business casual. And he goes, don't worry, Hugh, it's okay. It's fine, I've got all day, I'll sort it out. And then he said, do me a favor, if it's all right with you, I would really love to walk with you, pick you up at the hotel, and walk with you to the stage door at Carnegie Hall. I said, fine, meet me at 6 o'clock, we'll walk over together. So 6 o'clock on the dot, he's an accountant, very punctual. Knock on the door and I open it up and there is my father in full black tie, standing in the hallway. And I'm like, no, Dad, it's not black tie. I'm sorry, no. No one's wearing black tie except for the choir, the conductor, that's it. And he said, Hugh, my son is singing at Carnegie Hall, it's black tie for me. And so we walked over together and I'll never forget, he's a beautiful man. And I never forget seeing him because Carnegie Hall is quite lit up. And I'd sung my songs and I'm sitting down because it was like a concert and I could see him up there. Hoda, you've done it to me, now I'm getting emotional. He was just sitting up there crying. Yeah, it was a good moment. And then when the one-man show, I told that story. And my dad came from Australia to see it, and he was staying with me for a week. And I told that story, and I thought, I'm going to go out, and my dad's here tonight, so I walk out, and unbeknownst to me, Deb had told him that he said he's going to tell the story at Carnegie Hall. Bring your black tie. So as I put the light on him, there he stood up in full black tie. It was like, I'm like, there's a bit of showbiz in my old man.
Look at that.
There goes the accountant.
How's he doing, by the way?
He's good.
He's okay?
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, he's doing good. And, and I luckily just had some time with him.
Thank God,
because the pandemic was hard, not seeing my family for so long. And I'd been down there in Australia. We arrived 4 days before the lockdown, and I was in Melbourne, and we had to come straight back. So I hadn't seen my family for 2.5 years, which is way too long.
I know you've been practicing for the Music Man. We've seen you tap. I didn't know it was such a sweaty exercise. I didn't know why. You're drenched.
It is the greatest workout ever, and it's so much fun. It's like drumming just without the drums.
Yeah.
It's probably just as annoying for everybody else in the house, unfortunately, but. I tell you, if you want to work out for your legs, it is the best, and your core.
That's the one.
But I've been practicing right throughout the pandemic, either in my home or as things lifted out with Warren, my choreographer, and Sarah, and I just thought, let's just keep going. I can't just not do anything for a year and a half. And also, remember, we didn't know how long it was going to last. So I was meant to have started a year ago. Wow. And then we thought, it'll be September. I thought, we'll go. And then, it's going to be January. And then it just sort of extended. I thought, I'll just keep going.
So are you pumped for Broadway? Can you believe it's opening? It's really happening. This is a real thing.
I just can't believe it's been closed this long.
Yeah.
That just keeps hitting me. Yeah. And I wish I'd been in the audience for some of these first. Some of these, it must have been incredible. And I can't believe it, but I'm so excited to be part of it. To be there as Broadway opens up again, and also to bring back a musical, which is the first musical I ever did, by the way, The Music Man.
Is that right?
High school. Yeah, I was in year 9, so what does that make me, 15? I was salesman number 2. Gutted I didn't get the lead part, so no, I'm kidding, no. I knew I was that whole opening, and I was in, and I loved that musical. So in my head, I was like, one day. So here it is. So to be coming back in The Music Man on Broadway, and I've been lucky. I've done London, West End. Obviously, I've done theatre in Australia. There's nothing like Broadway, particularly for a musical. That's the pinnacle.
Whenever I can see it, I'm going to come see you because I'm dying to see it with you. When I saw you tapping, because every kid who's ever taken tap for 5 seconds, which we all have, step, shuffle, hop, step, you're like, oh my gosh, that's how it's done. I'm ready.
So how much tap did you do?
Not much, man. Not much. No.
I wish I'd known that earlier.
I've done.
Where's my researcher?
I did tap in it was bad news, but
really?
It was. But there is a joy to it that I understood when I was watching you.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in love with it.
It's just fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. Oh. How are your backgammon skills, by the way?
So good.
Still?
like got so much better.
Are you sure?
Oh. Oh. Are we laying down the gauntlet?
No.
Deb and I play 20 games a day. 20. That's the secret. And it gets heated. She is competitive.
She is?
Oh, yeah.
So how does
If you want to see a little bit of the darkness, you throw a double six to win it right at the last minute, and then you'll see a little bit of the dark edge of Deb. But my backgammon skills got very good, I think, over the pandemic. So, yeah, beware.
Okay.
I'll take it on. Bring it on. All comers.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
I have 2 children.
I know. And by the way, I wanted to say to you, I said it off air, but I wanted to say on air how happy Deb and I are for you and for Joel and just your family, because it's been so beautiful to watch and how you've shared that journey so far. It's beautiful. And I'm actually saying that on behalf of Australia and the world.
Well, I mean, I think...
And if you need a babysitter, my daughter says she's in.
She is. Well, it's so funny because I've made a couple of really great decisions in my life, and probably 3 real great ones. And they were picking Joel and adopting Healing and Hope.
Yeah. I'm gonna match you on that. Same. That's
3 best decisions in your life.
That's it.
And how are the kids? How is that?
I'm just going to cry through this whole interview. It's so amazing to me, the journey. So I have a 21-year-old now, and as of last Saturday, a 16-year-old, and I'm so proud of them how they handled the pandemic, because if I try to think what that would have been like for me at that age, where your parents, not only do they mean nothing, you want them so far away from you at that age as possible. And then all of a sudden, not only are you not seeing your friends, you're stuck with them indefinitely. It's like a horror movie. So, but regardless, with school and everything that went on, I was just so proud of them. And they are the greatest gift ever to come into my life. And it's just such a blessing, truly a blessing. So when I see you talking about it and when you shared with it, and literally Deb and I in the morning we were crying along with you.
Well, that means a lot. Well, I'm glad we have something cool like that in common.
Yeah.
Very cool.
With 3s.
Ah, yes. 3s. All right.
Not to be confused with the 3s.
Oh, what about that?
What about that?
What's going on with Wolverine?
Oh, I'm out.
You're out?
I'm out.
That's it?
Yeah, but it was one of the greatest working things of my life. But
I don't know. You know how everybody buzzes.
All right.
He's back. He's out. He's
He's out. Fine.
Okay.
take this and pound them nice and flat. Not too hard. Over here. Over here.
Welcome to Dylan Dishes, Cooking with Cal. Today I'm dishing up the sneaky secrets I use to remake 2 classic chicken recipes. We've got chicken noodle soup and chicken parm. I mean, what's the point of sharing recipes if we don't dish on our secrets, right? Chicken is obviously one of the most versatile proteins out there, and it's something everyone in my family loves, frankly. So I'm always thinking of different ways to use it. So it really depends on what I'm making, but I'm a big fan of using rotisserie chicken wherever I can, especially in something like a chicken soup. I do tend to keep some frozen chicken on hand because you never know when you need a last minute meal. But my trick is when you start to thaw the chicken, I like to begin to cut it before it's totally thawed. I find it's a lot easier to cut through when it's almost half frozen. And if it is totally thawed, my other trick is to use kitchen shears. Just use straight up scissors to cut the chicken up into little bits if that's what you're doing, because sometimes trying to cut fresh chicken is just so difficult. First up, chicken noodle soup with my secret ingredient. Take a look.
Let's start with some carrots. Wait, these aren't carrots. What are these?
Celery. Pancakes. 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 Oh, pancake. Oh, pancake.
Why are you saying pancake?
Peel. I'm ready to peel.
All right, let's peel the carrots. You literally peel better than your father. Nice job. You want to cut this?
No.
You gonna run away? Want me to tell you when I'm done?
Cal, are you gonna stay for the onion?
It hurts my eyes.
Okay, go stand over there. Okay. Can we continue? Can I go saute the vegetables now? Okay. While that's sauteing, let's do the chicken. Take this.
Skin off.
Yeah, I'm taking the skin off.
There's nudity now.
So instead of taking the time to boil up a whole chicken, I just bought a pre-cooked chicken at the grocery store. On some bite-sized pieces, small enough for Ollie to eat. Okay, perfect. And here's my secret.
Noodles.
Ramen noodles. So when I was in Korea with the flu, I ate chicken noodle soup every single day, and the noodles they used were ramen noodles, and it was the best chicken soup I've ever had. So I tried to recreate that. So now I add ramen noodles to my soup. A chunk. Thank you.
Not the big chunk, right?
Sometimes I even like to eat these before they're cooked. It's up to you if you want to use the spice packet. Sometimes I'll use a little bit because it adds a nice little saltiness, but sometimes it doesn't need it. Put a lid on and let this simmer till dinner time.
It looks like butter.
It does look like butter. All right, ready? Here you go.
All right, cutting onions has been the biggest obstacle that Calvin and I encounter when we are cooking together.
I'll do the onions, okay?
Have no fear, because you guys have written in so many wonderful suggestions, and I'm gonna give them a try. Here's the thing though, the reason I never cry when Calvin is like, bawling his eyes out over these onions, I wear contacts. So I think that kind of protects my eyes from whatever juices are floating around from these onions. So chances are you're not gonna see me cry because of my contacts. But these make sense to me. The first one is you want to keep a bowl of water near you when you're chopping an onion, and I think that is because when you cut the onion, the acids are released into the air, and water actually attracts those acids. So when you're cutting, instead of them, being drawn to the water in your eye, they're being drawn to the water in the bowl itself. So that makes sense to me. I will certainly try that one. Another one, which I think is along the same lines, is you take a paper towel and you soak it in water, and then you chop the onion right onto the paper towel, which also makes sense because if the acids are attracted to the water, then the water in the paper towel would draw out the acids. However, I feel like if you have a really sharp knife and you cut a little bit of paper towel, I'd rather tear up a little bit than have paper towel in my food, but that's just me. Another one we've actually tried, because someone sent us a pair of these onion goggles. I think it must work the same way as it does with my contacts, So you put on these onion goggles, it's got a nice nice little seal around it. So again, these acids, whatever juices are floating around after you cut into an onion, are not getting into your eye. And how cool do they look? They need to make kids' version of onion goggles because the goggles I have for Calvin are too big for his face. So not only was he trying to cut the onion, but then he's touching his face with onion juice on his fingers. So it didn't necessarily work as well. He just needs glasses that fit better. Okay, and the last one is you chew a piece of gum, which you want to wait until right before you start cutting, because you'll notice when you put a piece of gum in your mouth, you naturally start talking and breathing, through your mouth as opposed to breathing through your nose. So none of these onion juices are getting into your nasal cavity, and it's not making you upset. Although this is going to make my mother very upset that I'm talking with a mouthful of gum. So thank you guys so much for sending in all these tips. I love to actually get a chance to set up my science experiments and try what you recommend. I really do read through everything you suggest, and we are certainly going to try these in the kitchen. I think the bowl of water might be our first try. Coming up next, my take on an Italian classic, chicken parm, and this one also has a secret ingredient. Stay tuned and I'll tell you what it is.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today.
Let's go.
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Welcome back to Dylan Dishes, Cooking with Cal. Up next is my chicken parm with a secret ingredient. It may seem a little unconventional, but instead of breadcrumbs, I actually use saltine crackers. I know it sounds crazy, but I promise it works. In addition to the crackers, for this recipe you'll need chicken, of course, Parmesan cheese, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, salt, pepper, eggs, flour, and deli mozzarella cheese.
First, we're gonna prep the chicken, okay? What I need you to do is take this and pound them nice and flat. Not too hard. Over here. Over here. So let's make our breading. Here's the secret. What are these?
Crackers.
We're gonna use saltines. So before I put the crackers in the food processor, I want to use a little bit of Parmesan cheese. I'm going to put in the breading. Pulse it. I should probably plug it in, huh? All right, put all these in there. I'm going to sprinkle in some garlic powder. I'm going to add a little bit of Italian seasoning. Let's put a little in, okay? Yeah, use too much. This is just seasonings and just a little extra salt, but we don't need much salt because of the saltines. Yeah, what do you think? You can taste it. Taste it again and tell me all the flavors you taste.
Cheese, garlic,
What else?
seasoning.
Okay. Okay. Wow, good job! What are you doing to it?
Scrambling it.
Some garlic. Some pepper.
And what's this for?
This helps the breading stick on. All right, last one. We're going to fry up our chicken cutlets. Come on over here. Let's put them on like medium low. Oh, I thought you were eating a chicken. How's the cheese? Good.
Sometimes I go so much.
You're getting there, yeah.
We're working busy.
We're working really busy. Okay, so let's put this here. We're gonna add deli mozzarella cheese, not fresh mozzarella, because it ends up being too watery. Now we're gonna pop this under the broiler until it's nice and bubbly.
We're done.
Yay! Okay. Should we have one more bite? You love it?
All right, let's take a couple questions from social media. Jenny asked, do you serve it with basil leaves or is that fresh spinach? That's a good question. I never really explained that part of the dish. So another secret I have, I like to take my dish, I put fresh spinach in the bottom of the dish, and then I drizzle it with some olive oil, some salt, and fresh cracked pepper. Then I take the pasta right out of the water and let it drip just a little bit, but then I put the warm pasta on top of the spinach so it starts to kind of wilt a little bit, so it's cooked but not really cooked, and it still has that nice crunch and that fresh flavor. And all that is kind of the bed for the regular chicken parm. Another question we got from Instagram, do you feed the cameraman? That's a very good question. Why do you think I made chicken parm? So my cameraman is actually my husband, Brian.
Behind the scenes, Cooking with Cal, and my AD on the shoot is sitting right behind me. That's how we have to bribe him with food to keep him quiet.
He shoots and edits all of these Cooking with Cals for me, so it's truly a family affair. Brian's favorite meal is chicken parm, so this meal was all for him. And Caroline asks, where do we find all these recipes? Very good question. For all these recipes, go to today.com/DylanDishes.
fast I could cut these.
No, that's terrible.
I'm Bella James, and this is Kids in the Kitchen. My name is Isabella, and I'm in 2nd grade, and I'm 7 years old. When I first started to cook, I was 4 years old, and the first thing I ever made was scrambled eggs. My mom taught me how to cook. Some of my favorite making dishes that I make with my mom are cow foot, brown stewed chicken, curry goat, curry chicken. Cow foot is a Jamaican dish that my mom makes that I absolutely love. I think Grammy Pearl used to make cow foot. My great-great-grandma had a restaurant in Jamaica. Everyone in my family loves to cook, so that's why I like to cook for everyone in my family. I have my own lemonade business, and it's called Sunshine Lemonade. Some of the things I like to do are to play Roblox with my friends, playing outside in the treehouse with my sister. Well, anything to get out to have fun, really. I'm also a Girl Scout and I love to ride my bike. Today I'm so excited because today we will be making my upside down pineapple cake and my sunshine lemonade. What I love most about it is it's not too sugary, and we also put applesauce instead of eggs for people who are vegan. This is what you need to get started. Some cooking spray, some coconut oil, brown sugar, pineapple slices, and maraschino cherries. I think maraschino cherries is a funny name. I think it might be French. You're going to need a 9-inch pan, some parchment paper. Then you're going to put it at the bottom of the pan. Now you want to spray the sides with some cooking spray. Now, what you are going to want to do is you're going to get your coconut oil, pour it at the bottom, but make sure it is melted coconut oil so the cake can come out nice and moist. Now we are going to get our brown sugar, pinch and sprinkle the coconut oil and the sugar. It's going to make a nice caramel taste when it's done. Yep, you have to use the whole thing. I want something really sweet today. We want something really sweet today. No more vegetables. No more vegetables. Today we deserve a treat. Now you are going to want to grab the pineapple, put it in the center, and I'm going to make a flower design. And then, now I'm going to put another pineapple right there, pineapple right there, whew, okay, and then I'm going to put it right there, and it's cherry time. Okay, 1 cherry, 2 cherry, 3 cherry, 4 cherry, 5 cherry, 6 cherry, 7 cherries more. The reason why we put the pineapples and the cherries on the bottom is because the bottom is the top. So when you flip it, it looks like a cake. And now we are going to make the cake batter. Put that right there. Cake batter time. Now we are going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Now I've set up all my cake batter ingredients. Now we are going to start with all our dry ingredients and then mix them together. First, we are going to start with our baking powder. You have to make sure all that gets in there. Hey, you're hiding from my aren't you? Now, the salt. Maybe I'll take some. That's better. Now, our favorite part, the shredded coconut. It's time for our sugar. Let's mix it well so it can combine. Now we're gonna mix up our wet ingredients. Okay, first we are going to start with some coconut oil. This might look very weird, but I promise you it's gonna look better when it's cooked. Let's open this vanilla up. Okay, gotta make sure it's 1 tablespoon. This should be good. Okay. Oh no, cut. Okay, we'll put some more back in there. Okay, vanilla goes in there. It's not that big of a deal. It's just gonna be a little bit of vanilla. It's okay. It's okay. Who doesn't like some vanilla? Right. Now it's time for the pineapple juice. Oh my goodness, this is very chunky coconut milk. Last but not least, our apple cider vinegar. Now, mix well to combine. The coconut oil and the applesauce are gonna make the cake nice and moist. Now it's time to mix the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients. Let's grab our handy dandy whiskety. Oh my, this is very thick. Oh my. Now it's time to put the cake batter in the cake pan. This is kind of having a sad part, but now we have to put it in the oven and that takes a whole entire hour. So I think I'm gonna have to call over Mom. Mom, can you help me? So the cake is in the oven and it's gonna take an hour. So in the meanwhile, how about we work on my spicy Jamaican lemonade?
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go!
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today.
Let's go!
Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
This cake goes great with my spicy Jamaican sunshine lemonade. Let me go grab the ingredients and let me show you how to make it. I need 8 lemons. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Okay. Okay, this is just getting ridiculous. So what you're going to need is lemons, fresh turmeric, fresh ginger root, some brown sugar, and molasses, and water too. So let's start peeling. I like to use a spoon to peel turmeric and ginger sometimes. It's really easy. More mess, I demand more mess. Turmeric can stain your hands, so sometimes you might want to use gloves so you don't get a stain. Now, let's start peeling some ginger. You could also use ground turmeric and ginger. I like using fresh spices because it gives a better flavor. Now I have to slice these, but it's a little hard for me. So, Mom! Here's the next piece. And you're done. Okay, thanks. Now I'm gonna add some water to the ginger and the turmeric and put it to a boil. Now let's start cutting up these lemons. You wanna be really careful to make sure you don't cut where your fingers are because we're not cutting off fingers today, okay? Okay, well we're gonna get the lemon squeezer. Thank you. I love this machine because it has little holes in it so the seeds won't go through. And Bella squeezes lemon, she don't play. So the ginger and turmeric looks so good, it smells amazing in here. But now it's time to remove it from the stove. Okay, now I'm gonna add sugar, the molasses, and the lemon juice. But I wanna do it while it's hot so then it can all dissolve and come together. So first let's start with some sugar. I don't wanna splash it. How about we use a spoon? That'll make life more easy right now. Do you see how satisfying that is? Now it's time for the molasses. It's so sticky. One time I tried it. It tastes a lot like honey, so I kind of liked it. Time for the lemon juice. We're going to let it cool for a bit. Okay. Put that right on top of there. This is my most favorite lemonade ever. It looks delicious. Right there. Oh my God. Ooh. This right here could make us some money. You know what goes great with lemonade? My cake. I think it's finally ready. Let's flip it. Now you have to let it sit for 15 minutes. It's gonna be the longest 15 minutes of my life. Oh my goodness, that's exactly what we want. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Oh, wow. It looks so good. This I will eat in one bite. Now that my cake and my lemonade are ready, I'm so excited to share this with my favorite person, my mom. Thank you. I know, it looks so good.
Okay. How it tastes.
Okay.
It's super moist.
Where'd it go?
Thank you. Cheers. Delicious.
Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I loved you guys being in my kitchen with me today. Hopefully you can make this recipe too. See you later. Bye.
I didn't think when I had started boxing that I was gonna come this far. I didn't know I was gonna grow this fast.
This is Violet, the warrior princess Lopez.
I would probably say I'm more of a warrior than a princess.
A 13-year-old boxer from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who's shaking up the world of youth boxing.
People say boxing is not meant for girls. I want them to see me as someone who shows you that you can do the sport you love, even though it's a sport that people say is not meant for you.
Violet was born with the heart of a fighter.
She's our youngest female boxer ever to compete out of the United Community Center. And I taught her from scratch, from a kid that didn't know nothing.
One day I was at home and my dad came home from work and he was like, your cousins are gonna do boxing, do you wanna try it to see if you like it?
They looked around, they trained a little bit, and then as the weeks went on, she just got more and more into it.
At just 8 years old, Violet won her first fight. She was forced to wait 2 years for her next fight because there wasn't another female competitor in her age group.
Early on in her career, she was always down on herself because she never knew when she was gonna get a fight. Being a female in boxing and then being an 8-year-old female, there's not many 8-year-old females that want to get punched in the face.
For 2 years, she just trained. They would have show fights here and all the boys are fighting, but she wasn't. She was just watching from the stands. She started to kind of think if it was for her because she didn't feel like there was enough room for females in boxing just because there was no opportunities for them.
I think that she realizes now that it's just part of the sport for female boxers.
That's the last round, okay? 20 seconds.
Not being able to get a fight and her crying because she wanted to fight. That's just as bad as losing.
But Violet didn't let that stop her. By 12 years old, she was the top-ranked amateur boxer in the country in her division, winning gold at the Junior Olympics and 5 national championships.
I want everyone to know that I worked really hard to get to where I am right now, and it's not always easy.
One of Violet's biggest challenges is outside the ring, fighting the stereotypes that are familiar to many female athletes.
Their biggest challenge is the fact that they are a female and not a male. People just assuming that they have it easier, people thinking that the training may be different for them, not as hard, they don't have to do as much. To see her cry in her bedroom. To say that my daughter wouldn't have national championships if she were a boy because it'd be so much harder and like that's real boxing is just crap.
Nonetheless, Violet persisted.
Leading up to Lake Charles, I thought we had a really good camp. She knew she had to step it up and she had to fight harder, prepare harder. Violet persevered. She outboxed them. She did what she had to do.
I'm really happy. I'm glad that I got another win in my book.
Violet was poised to have her best season ever in 2020.
2020 was going to be the year like that I just skyrocketed, but no, the coronavirus came along. It impacted me so much. I had to take off a year of showing people what I can do and who I want to be and what I want to change for boxing.
Violet's gym closed in March of 2020, and she had 3 of her upcoming tournaments canceled because of the pandemic. Her next national tournament was set for March 2021.
I'm looking forward to fighting because I haven't fought in it's going to be a whole year once that time comes. Not having fought in a while, it is going to be a little more difficult because I'm going to have to get back into the groove of things.
I just always tell her to continue to be her and work as hard as she can, and that'll just be enough. To always know what you want, continue to be who you are, and just do the best that you can. We can't always expect you to win and be perfect.
Violet finished 3rd in the Youth National Championships. After that one loss, Violet's national ranking dropped from 1st to 3rd.
I think I needed that loss. That was my first loss in a long time. I gotta work harder because I want to get back to the #1 spot because that's where I should be. I'm graduating 8th grade, so I'm going to become a high schooler in a few months. My birthday is coming up too, so I'll be 14.
I'm beyond proud. I'm beyond proud. There's not a word. For what we've accomplished and for what we've done together, I just don't feel like people can take that away from me.
In July, Violet's home gym reopened, and she earned a bronze medal at the 2021 Junior Olympics in Lubbock, Texas. Next up, she's aiming for that #1 ranking.
My goal is to get my #1 spot back because that's what I want, period.
Probably cause I am a star and I got what it takes. Cause I'm finna go far, finna win first place, yeah.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends in Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Joe Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town, forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
When I get on a skateboard, it is the most liberating feeling I've ever experienced. And whatever problems that I'm having in my life, they just go away. And when I get in a sari and I start flying in the bowl, it's just really fun. I feel very lucky that I found skateboarding. I could have lived my whole life and never found it.
Meet Orby Roy, also known as Auntie Skates on social media. She's a 46-year-old mother of 2 who started to skateboard just 3 years ago.
When I started skateboarding as a family, I started an Instagram account just to track our progress for fun and feel good about us as a family skateboarding together, and it made me really happy. Then in January of 2021, it was a particularly dark period for, I think, a lot of people with COVID, and everybody just seemed depressed. People weren't even hiding it anymore, and myself included. I think that mental health, everybody's mental health was suffering. So I created Auntie Skates as a way to spread joy and positivity. I started a TikTok account. I had never even been on TikTok before. And I took a character, Auntie, and I just started posting really fun, uplifting videos. I had created the character Auntie some time ago in improv, and I may or may not have been disciplining my children with that accent.
Hello everybody, it's Auntie. I'm out in the cold weather in Canada to do a rock to fakie. First try. Ready?
That was one piece of it. And the other piece of it was I was getting on Instagram more, and I started following young South Asian women. And I started to notice that they were complaining often about Auntie. And every culture has that toxic person in their lives, the person that tries to bring them down, the person that's always judging them, you know, the person that says, "Why aren't you married yet?" And every culture has that, my culture included. So why not be the person that builds people up? And that's why Auntie Skates was created, specifically.
And it wasn't just her age that made her stand out in the skate park.
As a South Asian woman, I do wear traditional dress often for special occasions, weddings. Any chance I can to wear a sari, I will wear it. A sari is a traditional Indian outfit that women wear, and it's a long piece of cloth that you wrap around yourself. It comes in really bright, vibrant colors. I like to have fun as a skateboarder. I like to have fun as a mom. And I took Auntie Skates a little bit further, and I put Auntie in a sari, and I skated the bowl.
Orby didn't realize the impact that she would have on others.
It was the comments that people were leaving, from the 40-year-old man who used to skate as a kid and bought a board because of me, to the young Indian girl in a village in India who said, if you can do it, I can do it. It resonated with so many people in so many different ways.
Roy was always someone that took risks, even when she was a young girl.
My parents are immigrants. They came to this country in the 60s, and I think when they came to this country, they had culture shock. They didn't really feel comfortable raising a daughter in a new, more liberal country, and I think what happened was they kind of doubled down on their old school values. They were doing what they thought was best for me, and they were setting some standards based on their own fears. And the great thing about my parents is that they learned from their mistakes. Yes, I got a computer science degree. Yes, I worked on Wall Street. But that day that I called my father and told him I was walking away from this job, and he supported me, and my mom supported me, I knew that I would always have my parents' support no matter what crazy thing I did. And with Auntie Skates, the fact that I was doing skateboarding in the first place, they were behind me immediately.
Sadly, Roy lost her beloved father, Shamit, this year.
I've always leapt before I looked, and the reason why I've been able to do that is because of my father's support. He always had my back, and he would gently guide me.
Family support has always guided Roy, and it was her husband, and ultimately becoming a mother, that made her want to pick up a skateboard and try.
When I first started talking to Sanjeev, skateboarding came up right away. He told me he sprained his ankle skateboarding and he couldn't come and meet me and that I should come and meet him. And I immediately asked him, are you a pro skater? I had no concept of adult skateboarding. And he said, I'm not a pro skater, I'm an adult skateboarder, I just like to skateboard.
She just fell in love with it. Next thing you know, I get a text message of her dropping in on a quarter pipe and and like falling on her butt and laughing. And yeah, I think that was it. That hooked you.
When we're sessioning, which is a bunch of us skating together, we just feed off of each other's energy and we push each other to try new tricks. We celebrate together, and we also push each other a little bit. Why not?
Roy believes skateboarding has actually made her a better parent.
Let's go! Yeah! I can do it! What's up?
There's a lot of life lessons to be learned in skateboarding. I've watched my kids' confidence grow so much as they skateboard. And they also learn a little bit about perseverance. You're not going to get something right away. It's not going to be handed to you. Sometimes I'm mad, sometimes I'm frustrated.
Mama, you say I'm the drama queen! I am the drama queen!
They see all the emotions that I go through and they see me get through it. And that's what they're mimicking that behavior now. Sometimes people are at the skate park and they're a little bit nervous. And I always go to those people and say, how are you doing? Do you need some help? And now they do the same thing too. And just the fact that they have compassion and empathy and that they've learned that, it makes me so proud. It makes me so proud. That's parenting 101, I guess.
People ask her, are your kids embarrassed of you starting this thing? And we're not. We're really proud of her. Like, there's no reason to be embarrassed. Like, if you have like a super cool parent or a super cool mom, be proud of it.
As a 46-year-old woman who gets into a bowl and skates in a sari, I want people to know that you can do anything you want. Be kind to yourself and follow those dreams. Do that thing you thought was too late to do. Do the thing that makes you happy. Auntie believes in you.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse. False narrative.
Shame. This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Still too close to call. Lester Holt reporting from New York.
Ground zero, as it's being referred to.
It is, in fact, a taste of freedom. The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now? Some of the troops who have been proud. I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. You are some resilient folks. Let me get a hint.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
We need to be deprogrammed. And so to say I am more than, or Black Lives Matter, that's where our heart or our art comes into play. If I can paint it, if I can sing it, put it in the words of song, you'll start to reprogram. You'll start to change your mind. My name is Michelle Browder. I am a resident of Montgomery, Alabama. I am an activist in that I'm an artist. Nina Simone said it's my duty to use my art to speak truth to power. And so that's what I'm doing. We have something that no other city or state has. We have all of this history. The piece of art is really a conversation not only about the art, but history, and the history that lies in the center of our town there.
Montgomery, Alabama, in 1955 was the beginning. Montgomery's traditional pattern of segregation touched all forms of the city's life.
You have the space where Rosa Parks, on the opposite side of the street, took her defiant stand, but also rode the bus to where she was arrested. And then 10 years after that, you have the Selma to Montgomery March, where 25,000 people marched from Selma to the state's capital.
All the world today knows that we are here and we are standing before the forces of power in the state of Alabama, saying we ain't gonna let nobody turn us around.
It's so historical. Like, that fountain has seen every aspect of history as it relates to Black lives. We have the tunnel where enslaved African people were brought, and then we have the auction block. What better place to put it than at the fountain? So within the mural, there are footsteps in red that signifies the blood and the steps that those men, women, and children took to the auction block as they were separated from their families. And then you have, of course, the hands on the opposite side of the mural that represents the city that was built by enslaved African men, women, and children. It is a sanctuary for healing, for people to just walk around and experience that history, because there's blood there. Art can change mindsets, can cause paradigm shifts. And with that powerful affirmation, I am more than, Black Lives Matter. See me through a different lens. See my humanity. My Blackness matters. My culture matters. My essence, my being matters. That's either going to provoke you to make a change or open your eyes to see the truth, and that we've been wrong in how we treat Black people in this country.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
He's perfect. This is like not real.
Not long ago, these two women were perfect strangers. Now they share a bond that's unbreakable in the form of this tiny baby boy named Teldon Walker.
Do you remember the first time you held Teldon?
I do. I can't even explain, how it feels to hold him now still. It's like a gift that I will never, ever, ever be able to repay Cheryl for.
Chelsea Jovanovich was a teenager when doctors told her she would never be able to get pregnant. Born with a rare condition called MRKH, her uterus never fully developed.
It was devastating. All I ever wanted to do was be a mom.
Chelsea and her husband Jake tried surrogacy, but were unsuccessful. Near the point of giving up, the couple decided to try something that seemed unimaginable.
For some reason, I had remembered where my primary care provider had given me that Time magazine about the uterine transplants. I'm like, I'm just going to Google it.
That's when a uterus from a living or deceased donor is transplanted into another woman so that she can carry a baby. It's an experimental surgery being tested for women who don't have a functioning uterus. So far, there have been 50 uterus transplants performed all over the world. 20 babies have been born.
These women have ovaries, they have eggs, they just don't have the uterus to gestate the pregnancy. So once we are able to give them that uterus, the vast majority get pregnant and have babies.
Chelsea found a uterus transplant program at Penn Medicine in Philadelphia.
And I said, well, I'm just going to apply. They're never going to pick me, but...
Why didn't you think they would pick you?
Because there's probably so many people applying. I didn't think that it would be an option for us. There's one ovary right here.
But after undergoing a series of tests, Chelsea was not only selected to undergo a transplant, doctors told her they already had a donor who was a match.
I was in shock because I wasn't actually believing that we were going to, do this.
In February 2020, she underwent the 12-hour transplant surgery. 6 weeks later, doctors implanted one of the couple's 3 embryos. The first didn't work, but the second time around,
oh my God. I went my whole life thinking I wasn't able to carry a child. It's like something out of a dream.
As Chelsea's baby bump grew bigger, the couple couldn't help but wonder who was this mysterious donor.
All I knew is whoever this lady was, she was pretty selfless and pretty amazing.
But a few weeks later, Chelsea got the opportunity to meet the donor. Cheryl Urban, a 42-year-old Pennsylvania mother of 2 who decided to become a donor after hearing about uterus transplants on the local news. The 2 women had an instant connection.
Something brought us together, and even our personalities seemed very similar.
On May 18th, Chelsea delivered baby Teldon. And last month, Cheryl met him for the first time.
Really? We did this. It worked. This is amazing.
What made you want to do this?
I had 2 great pregnancies. I've enjoyed pregnancy. I enjoyed the feeling of my kids. So I just wanted to be able to give that to somebody else. I had my kids.
Now, these 2 women call each other soul sisters.
I feel like a part of your family. I'm like, every picture, I'm like, oh my God. I felt like I was pregnant with you.
Thanks to a breakthrough surgery and a selfless act.
We were all
that
just
is amazing.
standing around staring at each other.
I have chills.
My goodness. So let me tell you. So Chelsea tells us that in just a few months, they're going to try for one more baby with this same uterus. Doctors say while this type of transplant is still being studied right now, they are getting better and better at it and having more success. And they hope in the near future that it'll become a viable option for women with this type of infertility. So she'll do it one more time and then they'll take the uterus.
What a beautiful act of
Isn't it?
generosity from a total stranger. I'm so moved by that.
She just wanted to give that experience.
Well, what about those? They do those anti-rejection medications. I mean, I'm sure they've looked into it. If there's any impact on the baby.
That's a good question. It's hard on the body. In fact, these same medications have been studied in pregnant kidney transplant recipients, and doctors have not found any increase in the risk of birth defects. But doctors also tell us there is still, frankly, so much they don't know about the full effect of these anti-rejection medications. So that is one of the many things they're still trying to learn about. So she'll try to have one more child, and then they'll remove the uterus so that she doesn't have to take those drugs anymore.
Wow.
But I mean, it's...
And can that uterus be then used for somebody
I see that.
else?
I asked that same question. I don't think so. I think they're going to, 2 for 1 uterus.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a car.
Yeah. It's not both.
Well, and Carson just said, the takeaway here, which is the implications for the future. I mean, there are so many women who have suffered from this. She found out when she was 15.
Which changes everything for a young woman.
Life.
Yeah.
Do you tell your boyfriend in college? So this is groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Very
cool. And those scientists are amazing, the
so
doctors and researchers. Love that story, Chanel. Thank you.
These are the hands behind Community Loaves, a special project to donate home-baked bread to local food banks in Seattle. The group of almost 500 home bakers is led by Catherine Curley, a college administrator and avid home baker who has transformed her garage to function as a hub for twice-monthly bread collection.
Bread's been around for a long time. It's 4 simple ingredients: flour, water, salt, yeast. And each time someone discovers it for the first time, it's like magic.
What started out as a 19-loaf donation at the start of the pandemic has grown to a recent donation of more than 1,300 loaves. Carloads of bread are collected and donated to HopeLink, an area food bank that has seen a surging demand during the pandemic. Matthew Campbell is their Associate Director of Food Programs.
When I think of my childhood, my grandma used to make the best homemade bread. That reminds me of this. You can see smiles through masks. You still can. You can see the eyes go up. 600, 700 loaves of bread going out now. That's 600, 700 smiles. And it's just awesome. It makes a difference.
If I divide this up...
Catherine and some of her original group of bakers developed the formula for their honey oat loaf bread, including local flour that's sourced from wheat grown in Washington state.
A batch is 4, and we want them to donate 3, and we encourage them to keep 1 to feed them and thank them for their time, while at the same time paying it forward through the gift of the bread.
He's 76 years old. Did he try it? Yeah, he loves it.
For Sarah Ganholm, being a part of Community Loaves has allowed her to connect with her elderly father during the pandemic.
He's never made anything but chocolate chip cookies in his oven or a turkey. It just seemed like a natural thing for us to get on Zoom together and do this together. My dad now has bread, and now he's really proud of this new skill, and all of a sudden he's giving back to a community in a way that he's never done in his life.
This dough already has a lot of development.
Catherine didn't start baking bread until later in life, but she has fond childhood memories of watching her grandma Ruth bake bread and desserts. Sadly, her grandma, Ruth Wyson, passed away in August at the age of 105.
So when I visited her this summer, this project was going, and she wasn't eating very much, but she would eat bread. And she said to me that if the project had existed when she was baking bread, that she would have loved to participate.
For Thanksgiving last year, Community Loaves adapted their bread recipe to make special dinner rolls, and then they topped off 2020 with a bang, donating almost 4,000 pecan finger cookies for the winter holiday season, a favorite recipe of Catherine's grandma, Ruth. As for 2021, Catherine's greatest hope is that other cities can find a way to copy what Community Loaves has been doing in Seattle.
It's restored my faith in the collective good that we can actually do. We can be more self-determined, even in the face of the pandemic.
I like riding with my dad because I definitely feel safe and secure. Often I think about what's going to go wrong, and so having somebody as a backup like, yep, we're going to be fine, just helps you get out of that negative mindset.
How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time. That is our mantra.
Riding a bike across the country, that's a tremendous feat in and of itself. But imagine doing it on one of these, a high wheel bike. That's precisely what father-daughter duo Randy and Amy Olenek did when they set out not once, but twice to complete a record-breaking journey together.
We're gonna ride with Bill.
Yeah.
I started riding high wheels back in 1991 when I was asked to join a high wheel bicycle band.
Soon after, Randy and his family joined the Wheelman Organization. It's an international group that collects, restores, and shows antique bicycles.
My daughter wanted to ride with the wheelmen, but the girls all had to wear dresses and ride the safety bikes, and she did not want anything to do with the dresses. So she said, Dad, get me some knickers, I'm learning to ride a high wheel.
How old was she?
She was 13, I believe, 12 or 13.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. I've been riding with her since. Riding with Amy is great just because it gives us time to catch up on everything. No cell phones, no texting, even just clear time just to talk about nothing, you know, just to be silly and talk about goofy stuff.
But one pivotal event led to the ride of a lifetime.
I had a very dear friend of mine in Indiana, Wheelman. He says, I'm going to the doctor. He goes to the doctor, diagnosed with colon cancer. Two months later, he passes away.
His death gave Randy and Amy the push to ride cross-country on their high-wheel bikes together.
And as soon as he passed away, that was the straw that said, we're going, because you just don't know. Ray rode on the back of my bike as a guardian angel all the way across the country and looked over us.
The journey was 57 days, over 3,314 miles. They started in San Francisco and ended in Boston, Massachusetts.
Let me tell you the count. 3,314 miles. That is right there. I definitely learned a lot about my dad during the trip. He's the map person, but I'm the Google Map person. And of course, when you're out riding for hours, you want to talk about something. I would try and ask my dad about like his past, because as a kid, you don't ask your parents about those things.
Amy was attempting to be the first woman to ride across. Unfortunately, another wheelman started several months before us. So I started thinking, you know, I enjoyed the trip so much, I'm going north to south. And I told Amy, no woman has done both. So you're number 2 there, but if you do this, you will be the first woman. And of course, Amy said,
sign me up.
So we started in Sault Ste. Marie and then continued down through Michigan all the way down into Florida.
When you were on that cross-country track, what surprised you most about your daughter?
When you raise your children, you know, you raise them up to like 18 and you send them off, but they're always kids to you. But she came back as an adult, so I got to learn what a great adult she had turned out to be. So it wasn't until after that it really dawned on me how special the time was. You're trying to get across the country and everything, but after the fact, when someone comes and says, that's the greatest thing you did with your daughter, and you're thinking like, yeah, it really was.
Why was it so emotional when you finished that trip with Amy?
When you finally get to the end there, you've made it, and you're sitting there with your daughter, and you know, she reaches over and puts her arm around you, and it's done. And you just get like this, to be there with her, to experience that. But
making memories, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to have something in common with your parents. I think one of the things I recognize in other people is that they don't get along with their parents. So even though I do get along very well with my parents, just having an activity to do together is very bonding. While he's not like silly and singing songs until I make him, he always has a really good attitude.
No chains here.
No chains.
No gears here.
No, as soon as chain and gear got here, these bikes disappeared overnight.
But you do have a bell.
You do have a bell. Get the horses out of the way.
Oh, that was the purpose back then?
Back then, yeah.
And what purpose does it serve now?
Get the people out of the way.
And by people, he means me. While I wasn't ready to ride myself, Randy did show me how it's done. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Holy smokes. You make it look so easy. You make it look so easy. One of the things I always enjoy about doing these stories about dads like yourself is it becomes fairly obvious to me pretty quickly that it's never about the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that thing being a conduit to connect with the child.
Absolutely. You find something that they like doing that you do, there's an instant connection there. Unfortunately, a lot of us raised in my generation, you had the father figure in your children, and the two worlds didn't mix all that much. And so I was very fortunate that my kids made the connection for me, because I wasn't wise enough to do that.
Sometimes with parents, you see your kids as kids forever. So going on our ride specifically really just showed how much faith he had in me as an adult. He knew that I could hold my own. He knew that he could count on me. And so to feel that way as an adult, it really means a lot to me.
What's the saying? Pain is temporary, pride is forever.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
John, what's the secret? How do you rear a daughter to become a U.S. Olympian?
I talk to her, I motivate her, but the real secret is, I think it's her. I think she's pretty natural. She will be the first Hmong American to be in the Olympic. So I am proud, the family's proud, the community is very proud of her.
18-year-old Sunisa Lee, or Suni for short, secured her spot on the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team, finishing second behind only Simone Biles at trials in late June.
Sunisa Lee!
And her biggest cheerleader, her dad, John, is still letting that moment sink in.
It's unreal, because especially in gymnastics where, there's only 4 spots available. So if she made it, and that's pretty tough.
Tough, determined, resilient. Qualities that don't just describe Suni's journey to making the Olympic team, but traits she learned watching her dad heal. In August of 2019, just 2 days before Suni competed at Nationals, John fell off a ladder helping a neighbor trim a tree. Now, paralyzed from the chest down, John is slowly relearning how to move.
My hands are getting stronger. My balance is not so great, but I'm learning how to cope with that.
John finds inspiration from his daughter.
You got this.
Thanks.
John, what's the secret? How do you rear a daughter to become a U.S. Olympian?
I talk to her, I motivate her, but the real secret is, I think it's her. I think she's pretty natural.
And from an early age, Suni's energy and talent were hard to ignore.
The first year when she competed, she won state. And then the second year, they jumped her 3 levels. We just continue pushing her, helping her, supporting her.
I understand that when she was sort of starting out, that her dad was so committed to her success that he actually built a beam in the backyard. Is that true?
Yes, it is, and it's still here. Matter of fact, it's in the backyard right now.
Why'd you do that?
You know, she goes to the gym and she practices, but we don't have a beam here, so I couldn't afford a real beam, so I built one.
Small moments that led to Suni living her dream.
You know what I wanted to do before I got hurt? I always told Sunisa, if you make it to the Olympic, I'm gonna run out there and do a backflip. But I can't do it now.
Maybe not a backflip, but you could do some serious high-fiving, right?
Yes.
The Lee family also can't travel to Tokyo because of COVID restrictions, so we'll watch from their hometown in Minnesota.
As I watch her, I'll be thinking if she bring home a couple of medals, hopefully a couple of gold, I mean, that would be so great for the family, the community, and for the USA.
Do you get nervous watching Suni?
I do. Deep inside me, I do get a little nervous, especially when she does the beam, because that platform is very narrow and it's high.
But she's been doing it for so many years now. I mean, how can you still get nervous?
Everybody gets nervous when a kid gets up on those events. Once they're done, then you get relieved.
You think she'll compete again after this, or do you think this will be her first and her last?
She really want to do college gymnastics. So after the Olympic, you know, she only got 3 more years before the next Olympic. I was hoping that she continue on, but she want to go to college and compete.
There is one thing that's for certain. We will all be cheering her on as she goes for gold in Tokyo.
She already proved to the community, her family, her friends, and her coach that she is capable of getting there. So now it's time for her to go and do it for herself.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends of today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends of today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Now for a new story in our Dad's Got This series. According to the Census Bureau, get this, 19.7 million children in this country are living without a father in their home. That's roughly 1 in 4. Before the current era of social distancing, I visited the Up Next Fatherhood program in New York City. It's a place that's all about giving dads a second chance at being involved in the lives of their children. Family time is something this group of dads doesn't take for granted. They're graduates of Up Next. It's a New York City-based fatherhood program that helps formerly incarcerated and non-custodial dads find employment and reconnect with their families.
Yeah, you feeling good, huh? Nice day today, huh?
Harry Glenn is one of those dads.
What happened in your life that led you to this place?
I started off really young, getting in trouble out in the street, selling drugs with my friends, and then I went to prison in my late 20s for 10 years.
Harry was arrested on drug charges when his daughter Anastasia was still a toddler. He would spend much of her childhood in prison.
How much time were you able to spend with your daughter before you went to prison?
When I left, Anastasia was 2 years old. Seeing my daughter come to the visits let me know that I'm letting somebody down here. This is somebody that's dependent on me.
When Harry was released from prison, his daughter Anastasia was almost a teenager and living with her aunt. Harry's parole officer referred him to the 6-week-long Up Next support program. That's where he met other dads hoping to regain custody of their children.
Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
All right.
What drives you today? Like, what gets you up in the morning?
Growing up without a dad and being a dad, I just wanted to show the difference to my children.
I don't want to miss a day out of my kid's life. I want to be their superhero. That's it. As long as they get older and like, my daddy was there for me, I'm fine with that.
My daughter just turned 5. This is the second birthday in a year that I didn't get to spend with her, you know? On those hard days where you just kind of like don't want to deal with it, understanding that there's someone in that space that might need your energy and having the accountability just to be there and show up for that person.
How did the Up Next program help you become a better father?
Well, it gave me the first line of communication with my daughter, like a direct line. They reached out to her aunt, and her aunt let me know, like, listen, it's your daughter. You can come get her anytime you want to. I just want to make sure that you're prepared for what's going on here. And she started filling me in, like, these are the things that you miss. This is what your daughter may need from you.
How hard is it to be a dad when you're in prison?
I wouldn't say that you could be a father, because what I learned now is to be a father is just to be present, pretty much. That's something that I've been learning. I've been learning that every day.
After completing Up Next, Harry was placed in a transitional job program working as a street cleaner in Times Square. In 2018, he was hired by the Midtown Community Court to be their community engagement coordinator. Just recently, he bought his first home, and his older daughter, Anastasia, now 16, has decided to move back in with him.
How proud are you of yourself?
Oh, see, I don't like to give myself no props.
Sure, statistically, this is not how it plays out.
Nah, not at all. I learned so much inside that box about myself that it helped me come out here and be able to be vulnerable and accept other people's opinion and their plan too.
Harry's life after prison has also been the start of a new chapter of fatherhood. His fiancée, Renita, recently gave birth to their daughter, Kinsley.
It's very important for society to give them another chance because, like, who doesn't make mistakes? The part that's important is that you learn from it, you grow from it.
When Annie was little, I was in the street, so I wasn't focused on home. Now I can't wait to 5 o'clock and get there because I know that is somebody like this little with a big old head of hair, and she's knocking at that window like, yo, Dad, what's up? That's my joy right there. That's my reward.
During the pandemic, Up Next has continued to support their dads through video conferencing support groups. And get this, as part of his job, Harry, he's been handing out hand sanitizers and masks in areas of New York City that have been hit especially hard by the virus.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get going, okay?
My mommy's at work today.
My dad, he takes care of us. I love him this much.
It's definitely different to have, you know, a dad there instead of a mom. I think it's more of a positive thing, if anything. He's a great dad. I love him, and yeah.
So, dads make up 17% of all stay-at-home parents, and that's a number that's actually only growing. Today, we're spotlighting the National At-Home Dad Network. It's an organization that basically brings these dads together, and they're also smashing a slew of stigmas as they prove what their famous t-shirt says. Dads don't babysit. It's called parenting.
I'm Tim McMichael. I'm a stay-at-home dad from Minnesota.
My name is Jay Knutson. I'm a stay-at-home dad from Conway, Arkansas.
Portland, Oregon.
Naperville, Illinois.
Denver, Colorado.
Anchorage, Alaska.
Los Angeles, California.
New York, New York.
My name is Charlie O'Hara. I am a stay-at-home dad in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I have 3 sons, Zach, 7, Wesley, 4, and Jameis, 2. Here, want Cheez-Its?
See my house over here?
You guys want to go for a bike ride? The domino effect of events that really got me to where I'm an at-home dad. Finances, location, hours, everything factored in pretty heavily.
Oh. Charlie's days were spent fighting fires before his 3 boys came along.
There are days where I miss being a firefighter, most definitely, yeah, I do. I miss the camaraderie of it. I miss the calls, being in the fire truck, the lights and sirens going. It always was a rush every time.
But Charlie and wife Emily decided the best decision for their family was for him to stay home and Emily to continue her job as a gynecologist.
Come by me, come by me. Being a stay-at-home dad it's not a curse. I think it's the greatest thing that's probably ever happened to me.
Me and him like to go to the park and play catch in the backyard.
My favorite thing to do with my dad is hang out with him because he's just super fun.
Just because I don't make the money doesn't mean I don't support my family. My wife can be the breadwinner. Financially, she makes us stable, but I am still well supportive of my family.
My name is Greg Washington. I'm an at-home dad in DeForest, Wisconsin.
Ooh, scavenger hunt. Do you remember when we did one with Easter eggs when you guys were younger?
Oh, yeah.
I've always envisioned myself as a father. I've never envisioned myself as a full-time father. That was something I had to evolve into.
Greg loved spending time with his boys, but felt alone as the only at-home dad in his community.
I wasn't getting the reinforcements, whether it be from friends or family, anybody else, that I was doing the right thing. I literally Googled, I'm a frustrated at-home dad. And that led me to a message board, and I was just sitting there reading and nodding my head about the different things that they were going through.
That message board was the National At-Home Dad Network.
I found my tribe, meaning I was able to find people that were going through the same things as me, someone that you can reach out to that knows what you're going through. There are times where the main contact at the school is the father, because the father drops him off, and everything gets addressed to mommy. When you write that down in a group, people are like, oh, that happened to me too. This is what I did. It's invaluable. I can't really even explain how much value they bring, because it's just every day.
So this is all volunteer?
Yeah, it's all volunteer. It's amazing the guys that have stepped up this last year.
Jonathan Heisey Grove is president of the organization and leader of the 2,500 members across the country.
Why do you think it is that we are seeing more stay-at-home dads now than we did just a few years ago?
I think there's a generational shift that's occurred where the parents that are bringing kids up are realizing that the parenting role is not a one-gender role, that both the husband and wife or the husband and husband are equal partners in the development of their children.
Has it gotten easier since you started?
It was really hard at the beginning.
What was so hard about it?
Well, because I felt like I was on an island. I was on my own, didn't know that there were other at-home dads out there, and just trying to figure out what is my role and how do I fit into the family dynamic now. I found out that there were a lot more of me out there, and it became a support mechanism for me. And so I started to grow as a father and as a parent. Welcome to the 2019 Home Dad Con.
Home Dad Con.
Yes.
It's a convention for stay-at-home dads.
It is. It's been going on for about 25 years. And it has evolved into an annual event where guys from across the country meet up. We have programming, not only fun programming, but serious programming. And the main focus is for these guys to reaffirm, recharge, and reconnect.
Well, for me, this is kind of like me going and meeting up a group of guys that are in my field. Get all meet up and kind of share some stories, share some laughs, and just kind of be, it really is a group of your peers, your true peers.
This is my first convention. I feel like sometimes as stay-at-home dads, we get a little bit of a look down upon, or we're not filling the traditional male roles. So it's nice to be around a group of men that all have the same role and that are doing the best for their kids. It's what we're all trying to do.
I don't think men have these relationships that women do. Women are amazing about, in my opinion, their friendships and the tribes that they make. I think that men need to be doing this more.
Supporting one another as they rear the next generation.
I'm looking forward to when we're empty nesters, and I feel great because I was there for most, if not all, of their benchmarks.
But that taught me if you put your mind to anything, you can achieve it.
In 50 years from now, I will probably be looking back and just realizing that I was able to see every little development every one of my sons made, from losing a tooth to finally using the potty. I get a chance to see my kids grow up and just being able to be a part of their lives.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip?
Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians?
How do you explain why your case has become so important?
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip?
Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians?
How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Oh, we're back. It's time for birthdays. I figured they meant Smucker's birthdays.
Oh, that's...
to you.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
Smucker's for you.
To you.
Not yet.
Were you surprised?
Happy
birthday, dear Craig.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you.
Are you one?
No.
Is it a biggie? We'll go up by 10s. Yeah, 42. They're all big at this point.
You're a baby.
Over the past year, though, especially, these are all big. This is
I guess we can't have candles in there.
You're a baby. But we can honk.
But we can't. Even Carson's going in.
Oh, no.
Who brought the, where's the bourbon?
That's it. I was hoping you did. Thank you, guys.
Did you request Ride Like the Wind by Christopher Cross?
I did not.
We'll be able to get that in there, just a few more.
Where'd you get this?
It actually has a little carbon. Take a smell. I mean, it's really
I fell for that.
He almost got me.
Ever fall
That
for
was so nice, guys.
please.
Wait, you got any big plans?
I'm gonna play golf with some friends, and then my kids and Lynn's. I think they made a cake.
And your parents are in town.
It's
And Craig,
extra
take a look. We got a special birthday message for you.
Get the roll around.
You're loving and I love you. You are loving and kind and you're the best dad in the universe. Aww. I love you so much. Yes, we love you so much.
And we'll give you a joke. Ready? Take it away, Del.
What goes up and never comes down?
What, son?
You're A.
I love you.
Oh, man.
This.
Wow. Wow, that was.
What picture was that? Was that your second album?
I think it was my headshot from like years ago.
That was a great picture.
Of course, they would chalk
like
that
vinyl.
out for that.
That's super cute.
Like a vinyl shot.
That's it. That's
real
what, is that
cute.
from the 70s?
That was the self-titled debut album.
That's good.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to keep the celebration going.
No,
for
we're
the third
not.
hour.
This is so sweet.
Then we have more on Hoda and Jenna. Happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
Thank you for doing this, Diane. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me do this with you.
I was just telling you, I just got finished with episode 2 of
Okay.
Why the Last Man.
Okay.
It's a great premise to begin with. You're fantastic in it.
Thank you.
And I'm curious what you thought when this sort of idea came to you, just the concept, and we're going to do a series about it. Were you immediately interested, or did you need some explaining?
Well, I thought you're asking me to, and now for something completely different, which is sort of fun because that's what I do. I get to try on different ideas, and that was what attracted me, was the amount of zeitgeisty, controversial, global world-building, world-recovering issues, and who knew how much life was going to be sort of brushing up very closely against art, or maybe the other direction, art against life.
He's whining about the First Amendment and calling for
Unity, yes. Let's all join hands with the psychotics of America. And what would the expectations be placed upon a different gender of leadership? So it was almost like, I think maybe he was triggered by somebody saying, if the world were only led by women.
Right.
And then you think, well, let's dig into that a little bit. What would it be like? So that's the journey we take in a quote-unquote woman-only world after the demise of 50% of the population, the Y chromosome.
You're doing everything you can for everyone you can. But ma'am, without men, there is no future.
I hear you, but we're just trying to survive the present. We call it Men, and the title, of course, says Why the Last Man, so it's not a big surprise. It's not a spoiler alert, but there's double entendres even on the title. Why? Well, what does that mean? Well, why is the first letter of my son's name? Oh, so your son survives, so not every man. And what is a man, by the way? How do we delineate what that term, gender roles, and what do we delineate by how would a woman behave in a leadership role? Would she be up to the task? But I wanted to be part of a world-building show and see where it was going to lead, because there's so much great source material in the graphic novels.
Like I say, I'm 2 episodes in, and I still have so many questions that I know you're not going to give away today. What is this thing? What exactly happened? How did your son survive?
Right.
There's so much in the air still that will carry through the length of the series. I was interested to read that this was your first series as a series regular, where you're leading the show, which I thought, she's done a bunch of TV and a bunch of film, but she's never done this. Was there some appeal to doing, this streaming thing that everyone's on, and I'm the lead, and we can see this through a bunch of episodes to tell a story? Much different than making a film, obviously.
Well, I'm a sucker for a dare. I can own that, and I wanted the experience of doing something completely different in my craft, which a lot of people have become extremely comfortable with, and that is not knowing what the writing is that you're setting yourself up to fulfill. One of the things that I love to do is to look at work in terms of the conversations that grow out of what were you thinking when you took this role? Why this? Why now? And it's so complicated to answer this question, but it's also very timely because of the many things that have occurred in the world. I mean, when I read this originally, well, first of all, I have Googled how many women have portrayed the US president. I had to do it. I was like, apparently I'm number 18.
Okay.
And
our 18th president.
We are going to have to keep making hard choices to try to help deal with the panic and the outrage.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And I have some very dear friends who have already portrayed this character, whatever we have in our mind's eye of the leader of the most important leader of the free world and all of those you know, self-aggrandizing, and rightfully so, the role of President of the United States has been a very big trigger point for a lot of people for a long time. And suffice it to say that when I was describing to people when we were shut down in the pandemic and we were dealing with so many changes in the world, global, and yet also very sort of tethered to who is president and what that looks like, and what does that say about our country.
Yeah, I mean, this was, as you say, written. These are based on books for people who don't know, after 9/11. I think the first one came out in 2002, and then there were more after that. But my gosh, it's about a pandemic. There are echoes of what happened in this country on January 6th, of civil society sort of disintegrating before our eyes.
The frame changes the art always. You could put a piece of art, even if it's not art. If you frame it in a certain way, people will say, well, that's art. It's easier sometimes to portray somebody who's really existed in history. Then you can say, well, she did it. I'm portraying something that really happened. And this seemed so far-fetched. So to play the president confronting it was very prescient, very zeitgeisty, even more than I bargained for when I signed on.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I served an amazing group of staff and students.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate, is this going to work or is this going to backfire? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
What did you want to bring to a representation of a woman being president? Because there she is
Well, I'm
standing.
wearing my patriotic colors.
Yes, I noticed that. Very nice.
Well, of course, the humanity of it, the shared experience of it. The line of succession was decimated by the amount of death and the amount of grieving that she has. In order to be a good leader, you have to be the best follower, in a way. So she wasn't chosen. She wasn't voted in. So there's a lot of controversy around inheriting the job that she wasn't voted for, you know. Right. And so, hey, that's prescient too this year. Voting became very important, and the controversy around our votes considered authentic. The process, once you begin to have doubt enter into that conversation, now you've tilted the conversation into what is reality? It's the inner journey of this woman who is struggling to lead while she knows she's violated her ethics in order to do what's right for the world, which is, if you have a survivor, don't you want to try to make it possible for there to be more than just one survivor?
You've spent a bunch of time in the halls of Congress as an activist, and I want to talk to you about that in just a moment.
A small bunch, but legally, yes, I have been to the halls of Congress.
But you've been, yes, you have.
There's photos, so I know
there
it really
are.
did happen.
I've seen them.
Okay.
In my day job, I covered politics, and just the way you sort of carry yourself, some Nancy Pelosi in the way you walk down the hall, and you're surrounded by your staff and your reporters. Did your relationships with people who serve, Did you bring some of that to understand what it means to be in a position of power politically?
I have enough audacity to bring the little things that I believed in to the Congress people who were willing to meet with me and talk about the issues. And those were conservation issues about the health of our oceans at that point. There's always some legislation, right. that needs help to get the ear of the people who actually turn these things into law. That was my secret ambition when I was a child, was to become a lawyer who could help make laws. We need laws to catch up to the reality of our planet. We only have one.
When you do go to Capitol Hill and you knock on the door of Congress people, do you find they're at least more aware of the problem? Are they more receptive to it? It doesn't feel like some radical tree-hugging idea anymore, that like the middle of the country understands that this is a problem because it's happening in front of our eyes.
This is science and this is real and people need to survive and live. And people are scared of the conversations.
So you've got a lot of fans who listen to you. What would you say to them about what we need to do different day to day? Forget the big macro, but how do we make a dent in this as we go about our lives?
Well, I mean, I didn't bring my book. I was going to bring it and show it to you. It's called What Can We Do? Actually, it's called What Can I Do? And it's Jane Fonda's book. And it's all about her experiences going out of her comfort zone and allowing her fame to mean something on this planet while she's here. And she wants us to all wake up and do what we can. And people are panicked and they don't say, what can I do? So she literally goes through, she's so practical. That's what I love about Jane, among many things I love about Jane. So sure, I went and got arrested for the cause of bringing attention to the conversation. But the conversation is manifold. It's not just recycle or get the plastics out of the ocean, or we have species that are leaving. And everybody gets so scared. They want to go hide under the table and have a cocktail. So do I. But is it going to be our children? So I want us to wake up together and hold hands and make it a positive movement. That's my dream.
I think one reason for optimism is that I have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old who were born into and are growing up in a world where to them climate change is a fact. It's not a theory.
Yeah.
And it's what they're taught,
Yeah.
and they see it more on the news than certainly you or
But it's
I
not
did
been
growing up.
politicized. It hasn't
Right.
been politicized
They
for
said,
them.
well, yes, this is happening. Here's what needs to happen. So maybe that's one reason for optimism, is this generational turnover.
Yeah.
But they don't have to be convinced of it.
Right.
Most of them, anyway.
Right. One thing Jane pointed out, and it's true, is that they make the individual feel bad, but they're supplying us with plastic everything. So we have to revisit and make things so they can be reusable and share more and include more people in our family, I think. And now I'm going to run for office.
I was going to say, this is it. This is your campaign launch right here. I'll vote for you.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your newsfeed to life. Streaming live every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism. But when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm. Critical race theory.
Racism, it refers
false narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
I didn't realize until you walked in here, but we're surrounded right now by Diane Lane memories. I mean, where should we begin as you
Midtown
look
girl.
out these windows?
Somebody had to get raised in the Midtown, right? I went to PS 59, which is on 57th Street. It's the heart of Midtown to me, and of course it's a Whole Foods now. There's so much I could say about that. But anyway, yeah, so that's the building where I had my first audition. It was the Gulf and Western building. When I say first audition, of a job I got, there were plenty of auditions that I've had that I've completely blocked out because who wants to remember those? Those don't count.
But this is A Little Romance, your
Little
first
Romance,
film.
1978.
Delightful spot, but hardly the top of the diplomatic ladder.
That's fantastic. What an incredible life you must have had, Monsieur Santorin.
Oh, please, Julius.
For people who don't know, you've been acting. I mean, you're 13, 14 years old. You've been already acting since you were like 6 years old.
That is true.
What were the roles like leading up to, okay, this movie is my big moment, my breakout?
You know, it sounds like a joke when I say it, that I peaked when I was 10. But in some ways, I did because I had been traveling the world with the La Mama Experimental Theater Group, and it was the 70s, and it was very early 70s. 72 was the first tour. And so, I mean, that I was on as a kid. And so I was 7, and my parents didn't go. And my first passport, I had no front teeth, and it was considered very cute. And it's strange to grow up in the adult world when you're the kid in the room. Because if you know too much, you're considered precocious, right?
Yeah.
But they expect you to know a lot in order to fulfill the task and be a team player and be responsible and don't screw up and make the plane and don't lose your per diem. It was like joining the circus. It was like running away and touring the world with young people in the 70s. And it was a much more innocent time. So my dad and mom let me have that experience. I wouldn't have the courage as a parent to let my very young kid have that. I don't know. They were extraordinary people, honestly, to trust the universe as much as they did. It was a wonderful experience. Life by living, life by doing, life by traveling. Got to see so many different cultures.
I was thinking about you because I have a 14-year-old daughter. After A Little Romance becomes a hit, you're 14, you're on the cover of Time magazine. Laurence Olivier is saying you're the next Grace Kelly. What did all that feel like to a 14-year-old?
Well, I remember approaching the newsstand. We had newsstands, kiosks in the street, and they used to have, there weren't so many magazines then. So one magazine, you'd have 10 of them at a row, you know. And I guess 1978, I mean, you'd have, I'm not going to list the magazines, but Time magazine always had the upper right-hand corner as if it were dog-eared, and you'd see a photograph of some world leader. And in my case, it was Henry Kissinger. And I thought, this is really bizarre. This is a very surreal experience. I'm clearly having an out-of-body experience, and this too shall pass. And I thought about Birdcage Liner, and I thought, it's just paper. It's not going to. Don't allow this to mean anything to me, because I knew it wasn't about merit. I could trace back how it was that I wound up on the cover of Time magazine, and it wasn't because I had done anything. It was because I was an anomaly. And it was a curiosity to have people that young in the film industry as a new wave of culture and cinema. And I thought, oh, interesting. But I knew that it wasn't going to be. I mean, we're still dining out on the story literally, because Time magazine usually is about a very meritorious person,
Sure.
right? And I felt a little embarrassed, honestly, because I was playing handball under the 59th Street Bridge thinking, I have no business being on the cover of Time magazine. This is crazy. I'm sure my dad was thrilled, That's my kid,
Of course.
But I was sitting there going, please don't ask me to live up to that.
But where did you get the wisdom to have that perspective at 14 years old? Because it seems...
Growing up around adults, probably.
Right.
No filter from people around me. But the tempered innocence, you lose innocence as you grow, and then you start to value your own innocence. And that was working with George Roy Hill. That's what he said about his movies. That they're always about innocence, the loss of innocence of the main character. So he saw the theme in his own work. That's cool. When you're not, he didn't have to audition for his jobs. You could create your own job. It's different when you're an actress. You sort of go, is this going to be the one? Do I feel like I want to do this? It's different than writing it and having a vision for the end product. I'm sort of a tapestry thread, and how they edit it and how they put the music and the credits and how they promote it. It's all out of my hands, and I like it that way, because if I were in control, then I'd have to take all the blame. It's not worth the credit. It's too big a risk.
That's so interesting, right?
It is interesting.
Yeah.
Because you could say, well, what's the next one?
Right.
Next.
Right.
It's okay.
I mean, it feels like watching your career, even to now, you do have this perspective on what it means to be a movie star. I'm sure you don't like that term, or a celebrity, and that it doesn't really interest you that much.
Well, it does in terms of what people like Jane Fonda have done with it, meaning you can live a long time and you can add, something to humanity in terms of what you've done with your fame.
Right.
That I think is
But the
value.
things you went through as a child, becoming a child star can ruin people, obviously. And then you're in Coppola movie, they push you through, and you have this incredible young career, but you survive it, and then some, and you're being nominated
Isn't it interesting that they use the word survive?
Yeah, well, because there are some
Because it
people
is a
who don't.
gauntlet of potential bad choices that you're not even supposed to be aware enough to make good or bad choices. It's all luck, or some person in the background who's a marionette and you're the puppet, and there's strings being pulled that allow you to have good fortune compared to somebody else. One of the things my dad said to me as he knew he was dying, he said, isn't it enough, Diane? Don't you think it's somebody else's turn? And because he's brutal. My dad was famously brutal, hence an acting teacher.
Right.
Cut you asunder, right, in a way that nobody else can, or you wouldn't allow anybody else to. And it was almost like saying, are you going to keep going? I knew he was daring me to keep after it. He wanted me to have one of those lifer type careers.
And you have. Right? I mean, look, here you are.
Am I supposed to go to 30 years?
It's like, so what's the secret, if somebody's watching right now, to keep that ball in the air the way you have, to have had all these phases where you go...
Being open to change.
Really? Yeah.
I think so. Being open to change. I mean, the human body is very humbling, and if you're a woman, you certainly are aware of the way change is part of your fate, because there's only a window of time within which you can procreate. And that is such a blessing. And it is also a measure of worth that men don't experience. And it is also a tremendous gift because you, in some ways, get to be born fresh. I gotta watch my terms because my grandmother was a Pentecostal preacher. I don't want to get into trouble. But you can be born freshly in your own self-understanding by not internalizing any longer the male gaze. Unless you want to.
Right.
unless it's fun for you now, and you can do it your way, on your terms. And so I'm watching women these days, and I'm very heartened by the diversity of representation that is accessible to young people today. But see, it takes strength. You have to be able to come up against all these things that want you to internalize them and make you an insecure person. So every little lesson that you get and being able to change and adapt and not let it define you is the goal for women, I think.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Still too close to call. Lester Holt reporting from
Ground zero, as it's being referred to.
It is, in fact, a taste of freedom.
The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now?
Some of the troops who have been proud.
I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. You with some resilient folks, let me get a hint. Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Controversy in South Lake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is South Lake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
You've been consistent. Was it gratifying in that run, sort of perfect storm, unfaithful, under the Tuscan sun, to just have this, people knew you from a little romance and they knew you along the way, and then here she is again, you know?
John Cusack and I made a film together, and we sat in the trailer at one point, and he said something that I'm going to quote, and he's going to have to forgive me, because maybe he would disagree with himself at this point. And there were these books on the table, and he says, I think we're the coffee table book actors. We make everybody feel super comfy, cozy. We've been there since they were 12. They are now whatever age they are, and we're still here, and they know they're okay because we're still here. And I thought, I can work with that. I thought, I'm not ashamed of that at all. I bring it because we want to see what else you got. And that's part of the reason I chose this show, is because it's so completely fresh and different for me as a show, even if I were just watching it. So to think of myself in it, get a little squirrely, but that's the fun of it. You're supposed to do the work that scares you.
It's funny, when I interviewed him for this show a couple of months ago, he was saying sometimes he'll be watching TV and he'll come across a movie on cable, and he said it's like looking at your old yearbook photos. You go, who is that guy? What is up with your hair? Who is that guy? You know?
Fun.
Do you ever come across your old stuff when you're watching TV, or do you?
Well, I call it my young stuff.
Yeah,
so it cuts both ways. I mean, sure, I do, and I always want to break the mold. I mean, when you're an actor, you want to be able to disappear into something as much as you're allowed, or have the courage, or can pull off. I think it's an incredibly noble profession, and I did not used to think that. I used to really poo-poo my profession because I grew up in it.
Yeah.
You know, wherever you grow up, you have to leave. And this pandemic, actors got me through it. And of course the crew and everybody that makes actors shine. But they're the ones on camera. Everything that makes that moment possible, yes. But the actors get us through it. And the comfort we have taken from watching the shows. But my hat's off to the profession, because we're able to increase our compassion and have diverse experiences vicariously and expand our imagination and our sense of what's possible for ourselves. We feel seen. They're championing something that we wish we could champion, so we have champions now. It's an amazing craft, and I see why so many people want to break in, and I'm glad for my daughter, because there's a lot more access.
She's into it, right?
She's into it.
And you've encouraged her?
You know, I discouraged her.
Oh, you did?
I think most people in my profession discourage their offspring. Because
you know too much.
I know too much. And she has seen behind the curtain in Oz, as I call it. And after graduating Gallatin at NYU, and after her journalist education, this is the real storytelling in a way. in a way. And I think I have the sense that she's going to morph into writing things. That's every parent has a fantasy they project onto their kids. So forgive me, Eleanor, but I think she's got it in her to be sort of I always say you can replace an actor. They're the most replaceable thing in a way, but you can't replace the writing. That is, if it's not on the page, how do you expect that to get to the stage?
Right.
It's got to be in the writing. And I think she's incredibly gifted. And of course, she can act, and she's beautiful. That's fine. But I still think that, write something for actors to do forever. Then to me, that's the highest hype.
Well, congratulations on the series. It's
Thank
outstanding,
you.
and it's just fun to walk through your career. Because it's a pleasure.
Honored to speak with you today.
Nice to see you.
Oh, hey, a big hello to all you guys in Today All Day Land watching our digital show Today in 30. And as always, y'all are looking good.
We love that you decided to spend part of your Tuesday with us. Had another busy one in Studio 1A. Let's break it down, what we're bringing you this morning.
Yeah, we got big news on COVID booster shots that will impact tens of millions of Americans. The FDA reportedly planning to allow the mixing and matching of doses, so we'll let you know what that'll mean for you and your family.
And then Katie Couric returned to Studio 1A to talk about opening up like never before in her new memoir.
Plus, an adorable Today exclusive. We cannot wait for you to meet the so-called tiny mom with the not-so-tiny twins, and they've become big sensations on TikTok.
Squeeze those cheeks. It's just for starters. Let's get it going. Time for Today in 30.
First, NBC's Megan Fitzgerald is in Chicago with the very latest. Hey, Megan, good morning.
Guys, good morning. Yeah, the president of the police union here in Chicago says a third of the police department here has defied the mayor's vaccine mandate order, which means they could lose their job. Meanwhile, federal regulators may be coming up with a new plan to increase the efficacy of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
This morning, one step closer to a boost of immunity. The FDA is reportedly expected to approve mixing and matching COVID vaccines. It comes after researchers found antibody levels for Johnson & Johnson recipients increased 76 times 15 days after receiving a Moderna shot. Approval may come as soon as Wednesday, alongside the expected authorization of Moderna and J&J's booster shots. That's according to reports from the New York Times and Washington Post, but not confirmed by NBC News. The government would not recommend one shot over another, and it might note that using the same vaccine as a booster when possible is preferable, according to the New York Times, citing people familiar with the agency's planning. It comes after months of confusion after the Biden administration publicly backed booster shots before they were approved, followed by uncertainty over whether mixing and matching boosters, particularly for those vaccinated with J&J, is advisable. As the battle over those who haven't gotten the vaccine heats up, and some high-profile fallout in Washington state, which requires employees to get the jab or lose their job. Washington State University announcing overnight it has let go of football team coach Nick Rolovich, along with 4 of his assistants, for not complying with the mandate. Police unions also pushing back, including in Chicago, where the mayor's vaccine mandate has been in effect for 3 days. But only about 65% of the police force is vaccinated. That means thousands of officers' jobs are on the line.
There's too much government control in that. You're going to tell me what I'm going to put in my body. That's my choice.
What do you say to the mayor who says that these officers swore an oath to protect the citizens of Chicago?
They're not refusing to protect the citizens of Chicago. The city, the department, is refusing to let them protect the citizens of Chicago.
And to just underscore the importance of this vaccine, I want to give you some new numbers here. The United States has surpassed 45 million COVID cases. We are looking at more than 750,000 deaths from COVID-19 in this country. Savannah, sadly, this pandemic is far from over.
Stick around because there is much more coming up on Today in 30.
News is more than a headline. It informs, it inspires, and it still matters. To cover it, you have to be in it. And that's what we're gonna do. Every night, we take you to the front lines of the story, where it's actually happening, with NBC News journalists on the ground from all over the world. We cover what you need to know and bring your newsfeed to life. In primetime and streaming live, it's your news playlist every night.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back with a family that everybody seems to be talking about.
Because of the cuteness, Alexis LaRue has become one of the internet's latest breakout stars. She's known as the Tiny Mom, thanks to her two adorable, not tiny at all babies. And one of her videos alone has more than 48 million views on TikTok.
We're excited because Alexis and those two cute bundles who are snoozing are with us. But before we chat with her and them, here's a little bit more about how they got here.
Hello everybody, if you don't know who I am, my name is Alexis, and yes, I am the girl who had the video go viral.
22-year-old Minnesota mom Alexis LaRue and her baby girls have become the talk of TikTok.
This is not for the weak.
She posted this viral video September 27th holding her adorable 7-month-old twins, Camilla and Elena. Each baby weighs 21 pounds, and TikTok fell in love. With that, she's now known as the Tiny Mom with 48 million views and seemingly just as many questions.
I am 115 pounds, I'm about 5'3". Yes, my hands are a little bit big. I don't know how I could edit this video. See, it would be very complicated.
The twins were born in March, weighing 6 pounds 6 ounces and 6 pounds 7 ounces, and since then they have tripled in size. LaRue and her fiancé Leo say the kids are simply happy and healthy. The Tiny Mom and her girls now have more than 700,000 followers and a digital family album delivering an endless loop of smiles. And we want to see those smiles. We see moms. The little girls are snoozing. So sweet. Camilla and Elena joining us. Okay, this is insane. First of all, one of the first things I was thinking is, I want to know what you're feeding those cute babies because they went from 6 pounds 7 ounces to these beautiful children. So tell us.
Oh, there they are.
Oh.
Honestly, like they are formula fed and they drink like about 6 ounces every few hours during the day. And then we've just been feeding them like fruits and veggies. So it's not like a whole lot.
Oh, they are adorable. They're so cute. I want to put them on my digital frame just so I can look at their sweet faces. Alexis, how has it been to become a viral sensation? Just you put this picture up, it's cute, it's funny, and now everybody knows you guys.
It's honestly insane to me because I'm a stay-at-home mom. And so in my free time, I just did TikTok videos because it was something fun for me to do. And so when I posted the video, the really big one that went viral, I didn't think anything of it. Actually, I think I wasn't even going to post it. But then I ended up posting it. And like the next morning I woke up and it just completely blew up. And it was just like I was in such shock. It was crazy.
I love that you had to show that this wasn't edited. You're like, I couldn't edit it. Look at we're over here and now we're moving. Is it the positioning of the pictures or because you know because
they're big.
They're big.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did accuse me of like using a filter or editing the videos, but no. I do say that it is the angle that I take the video at that kind of exaggerates their size. But it is true, like I am very small and they are relatively big babies. So it's not like it's completely fake, but the angle that I take the videos does exaggerate it.
Well, they are just so sweet. I'm also impressed, Alexis, that you can hold both those babies, that's 42 pounds, with one arm. I mean, you're amazing.
Thank you. It's crazy because even like carrying groceries, I feel like I can't do it. But then it's like when it comes to my babies, like when you're a mom, you just find the strength.
And what about their dad? Like, what does he think about all of this attention? Because the three of you are stars.
I think that he's honestly like just in as much shock as I am. just because like it really did happen overnight. And I think we still haven't completely like accepted it. Like it's still just, it's so crazy, I think, for both of us.
Well, it's really fun, and your babies are just giving a lot of people something to smile about. So thank you for sharing those cuties, and tell them to wake up already.
Yeah, and we want the Gerber people to come calling because it's time. And if you want to see even more photos and videos of these adorable twins, we'll have them for you at today.com.
I love them.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
It is time now for our Consumer Confidential. Don't want to scare you, but Halloween is 12 days away.
12 days. My goodness. Spending is expected to reach a new record this year of more than $10 billion.
Yeah, and here to help us set up for the safe and spooky Halloween is NBC News investigative and consumer correspondent Vicki Wynn. Vicki, good morning to you.
Good morning. Look at this. We're standing. We have all these fun props to talk about. I'm excited.
Yeah, you know, we did a poll, and I'm reading our notes here, that people, nearly 75% of people who were asked say they're going to do trick-or-treating. Right. That's a great stat, and we're all excited about that. So just tell us, like, what can we do to stay safe?
Yeah, count me among that. So one of the questions I'm getting is, are kids going to be vaccinated by the time Halloween rolls around, the 5 to 11-year-olds? And the short answer is no. Sure. Because next Tuesday, the FDA is meeting. They're going to talk about maybe that Pfizer booster, giving it the emergency use authorization, but that won't be in effect for kids on Halloween. So what you need to do if you want to be extra careful is consider having your kids wearing a mask if they're going to bunch up, as kids do, at the front of the door. But the good news here is that Halloween is relatively low risk. We are outside. We know fresh air ventilation is a fantastic place to be and helps lower COVID risk. So I think people should feel good about taking their kids door to door. Just pack the hand sanitizer and do the basic safety things that you remind them of, which is glow sticks, flashlights, and making sure parents look at the candy before they eat it.
I was going to ask you about that. Who should you travel with? What should you carry?
Yes.
I mean, should it be different? You just mentioned hand sanitizer. I didn't even think about that, honestly.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we are in flu season as well, so it's just really a good idea. I know that we say, like, don't have the kids eat the candy when they're on the route. That never happens. Obviously, the kids want to dig in as soon as they do. The other thing I would say is if you are passing out candy, you want to make sure that you do that and keep your hands washed. Don't let kids reach into the bucket. This is a good year to kind of just keep hand hygiene as a priority.
What about those weird things, right? Like there's like some kind of like hose things you can throw the candy through. Some people did those.
People totally did that last year. Very creative ways of being, you know, trying to be contact-free. People put little individual candy bags out on tables, or they made those candy chutes, which was a lot of fun. I think we can relax and go back to as normal as a Halloween as possible.
What's the significance of the blue bucket?
So this is really interesting, Alan. It is, I think, going to be a talker and somewhat controversial. You may see kids carrying these blue buckets, and the idea behind it is that will identify a child who maybe have autism, or maybe have a disability, or are on the spectrum in some way. So maybe you have a lot of lights and, strobing effects and loud noises at your house.
I didn't know that.
You might want to be considerate. However, there are parents who say, I will make a decision for my children. Please don't identify them with this blue bucket and expect to kind of other them. So, it's going to be individual family preference, I think.
Before we move real quick, if your kid's wearing a mask, they may still have to wear a mask, right?
Yes, and you don't want to have them wearing a mask over a costume mask. There are so many fun little,
Why do you say that? What do you mean?
It could restrict their breathing. That's a concern of having, one of these masks, like a fun kid mask, and then another Halloween mask. That's a lot of layers.
What about adults taking precautions safety-wise?
Yes, so the hand hygiene, make sure you wash your hands. And I would say if you want to be considerate, because there are a lot of kids who can't get vaccinated, wear a mask when you come to the door. You don't know who you're going to be answering the door for. So even if you are vaccinated, it's just, a couple hours of passing out candy. Giving.
And really quickly, you always talk about saving money. I didn't realize there's a pumpkin shortage. I guess we shouldn't be surprised.
Supply chain issues have affected everything, pumpkins notwithstanding. So something to consider if you're wanting to save money. Check the grocery store. Pumpkin patches are great, and I don't want to discourage people, but prices tend to be a little higher because you're paying for the experience, the photos, and that kind of thing. The other thing is faux pumpkins are really fun, and you can have them year after year if you can find some. Or you can even put a glow stick or a candle in a jar and kind of celebrate that way. As far as costumes go, I love this idea. Shopping your own closet, hand-me-downs, and also talking to your neighbors about costume swapping. That's something we can do because some costumes are hard to find this year. Or search the internet for clever ideas. For example, this year my daughter is actually going to wear a squid hat and carry a Monopoly board.
Squid Game.
I love those costumes.
And that's so easy because the squid hat was like $5 and we have a Monopoly game at home. So
that's cute.
There are lots of word plays and fun things you can do that are
I forgot your family goes all out for
Trick or treat.
There you go, individual candy bags.
Thank you for wrapping the bag.
That's right, individual bags.
Thank you,
Another
Uncle
great
Al.
idea.
This is not an Al Roker because
And your hands are
fun
washed.
size. The big ones.
That's right.
Vicky Wynn, thanks as always for these tips and more. Check out on all the advice on our website at today.com/Halloween.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Let's go. Is the Delta variant more dangerous to kids, or is it simply more transmissible?
Maryland's Principal of the Year.
I serve an amazing group of staff and students.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Katie Couric back in Studio 1A. How does it feel?
It feels funny and great, and so many wonderful memories here, and a lot of old friends still here. So it's fun to reconnect with them, and wish I could go to the control room and terrorize them, which was kind of my MO back in the day. But it's just been really, really fun, and I think Thomas Wolfe was wrong. You can go home again.
You certainly can. Do you feel like a lot has changed, or the bones are the same?
I feel like the bones are the same, and it's so fun. I was saying to one of my friends here, the world is changing so quickly, and there's something reassuring about having a constant like the Today Show, an institution that's been around for a very long time. So I think that's comforting in a funny way. And I'm also really proud of everyone who, I think people don't realize this is exhausting, day in and day out, getting up this early, having, juggling so many balls. And it's fun to see everyone really thrive in this environment and kill it every day.
For 15 years, Katie Couric was a fixture here at Today before moving on to CBS, where she made TV history. She became the first female solo anchor to host an evening broadcast.
And now, after 40 years as a journalist, hard to believe, Katie is putting it all on the table in a very candid memoir. It's called Going There.
Katie, well,
Hoda.
first of all, it's a big day. I mean, your book is out.
Well, no, it comes out next Tuesday.
Comes out next Tuesday.
But
okay.
yes.
Well, we can pre-order.
Yes, you can. Thank you, Jenna.
So we're in this moment where I just know tons of people, they always say, I grew up watching you, I know you. And I think everyone who watched you was like, I want to be Katie's best friend. She's witty, she's smart. Wouldn't she be cool if we were pals? What you're doing in this book is you're pulling back that veneer and you're showing the raw side.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, like, how come? Like, why did you want to expose yourself to that part?
Well, you know, I think a memoir is a look at a life through the narrator's point of view. Yeah. And I wanted to, I think I've been pretty authentic and direct and real my whole life. And I think I just wanted to kind of tell the real story, pull the curtain back, what was going on behind the scenes, how it felt, experiences I had undergone, what it was like to have a husband be diagnosed with terminal cancer at 41 years old with 2 little girls, how we dealt with that. You know, I think my life has encompassed so many different things. And I think there are so many lessons about persistence. You know, nobody wanted me to be successful in this business. And I was just like working my ass off in local news. Am I allowed to say this? In local news. And, you know, there were a lot of naysayers and people who said, you know, you'll never make it in this business. So I think it's about persistence. I think a lot of it is about resilience, you know, about being knocked down and being able to get up again and learn and grow from your experiences. And I think a lot of it is also about taking this incredible period of history. When you think about it, when you mentioned, Jenna, I've been a journalist for 40 years, and taking a look back at how we covered stories or attitudes that existed early in my career that have undergone a much needed and major transformation when it comes to, you know, gay Americans, when it comes to gender politics, when it comes to issues of racial justice. And I was really interested, because I love history, in using that as a backdrop. And, you know, we are the filters for a lot of this information, and we reflect it back to the American public. And how have my attitudes and changed, and how have I evolved as a person, which I think is really
hard to do.
It's hard to do, but worthy, don't you think?
Yeah, it is, and it's important. And I think, you know, one of the things that you write multiple times, I mean, it's dedicated to your girls. You call it a manifesto for women. You know, there's women in this room that you have helped along the way, but some of the women that you write about, and even just, you know, what was taken from it, said that your words hurt them. Now do you think, God, why did I put in that one sentence?
Well, you know what? I think that if you read it in total, we read it in total. You know, I think, you know, like I said, as I said earlier, so many nice things, you know, and at some point you want to reflect what was happening at the time, you know. I think Deborah Norville is one of the kindest, most gracious people, and she handled this incredible situation, which I say was no fault of her own, being portrayed as a home wrecker. And at the time, I went back and read articles, and people felt you know, some viewers after Jane, and they were very protective of Jane, you know, because these parasocial relationships that form with viewers and people on television, that they didn't respond well to Deborah. That was no criticism of Deborah. It was about what the situation was at the time. So, you know.
So, but when she says her feelings hurt, do you feel like you have to reach out and say sorry, or how does that work in this world?
I think I'm going to send her a book and say, I'm so happy for you to read the whole book and put my observations into context. But, you know, I think a lot of it, it's about clickbait. And, you know, the other thing I talk about extensively, and I think it's so interesting, because so much of this book is kind of navigating a male-dominated culture and business for so long, and yet
the narrative that some of the more salacious publications pick up on, because I guess sadly it still sells, is this catfight narrative. You know? And I laugh about how Diane and I competed for big interviews. I thought it was so funny and ludicrous. I mean, the way it used to be. And Hoda, you know what it was like.
I was here during that time.
Right?
Yeah, but do you think, because I mean, you talk about like kind of, you were territorial about your turf.
Yeah.
You didn't want someone to come in and take your chair.
Yeah.
Is that how you experienced your time here? Is that how you viewed it?
Not really. I mean, I don't think it was like a daily thing. I just think that occasionally I would feel territorial. But I think I was incredibly generous with my colleagues. I just think, you know, listen, I think it's true. I think anybody in these positions sometimes feels like, especially when there's only one, you know, very few, like, oh gosh. And especially when you consider that for no reason, Jane was just kind of unceremoniously pushed out. So I think it's a natural human impulse. And I thought it was brave for me to say sometimes I felt protected.
Or insecure about it.
You talked to a lot about body image, which I found interesting. And when you first got the job at CBS, you took a picture. And then you went
this is
the picture that was taken.
How embarrassing is that?
And that was the one that they airbrushed and kind of tried to make you skinnier.
I was on the Photoshop diet, apparently. You know, I was doing something for CBS. They took a picture, and then they have an internal publication called Watch. And I didn't even see the photo, but somebody, a newspaper, noticed that they had shaved like 20 pounds off me. And I was like, who did that? They didn't ask permission. And as somebody who struggled with bulimia early on,
write a lot about that,
and has, you know, body image issues, not so much today as I did, I was so mortified. You know, but you know, listen, that's really embarrassing, but I put it in the book. I put a lot of embarrassing stuff in the book.
So can I ask, when Mary Smith goes to Barnes & Noble and picks up your book and reads it cover to cover, what are you hoping that she takes? Like, what was your point when you put it out there into the world?
I mean, first of all, I think I've had a really interesting life. I don't know if other people will think it, but I've just, you know, I'm a kid growing up in Arlington, Virginia. Like, how did this happen? First of all, it's really strange, even as I sit here today. So I think kind of like sticking to your dreams, being intentional. Like I was always very goal oriented, both professionally, and then when I turned 30, I was like, I better get married. I'm gonna find a nice husband. And I kind of really treated it almost as if I was looking for a job. I think about, as I mentioned, persistence. And I think people will get different things out of it. You know, I think young women may be inspired by the fact that nobody kind of said, hey, we think you have a lot of potential. I had to like get in there and be scrappy and work my butt off. And I think, you know, for people who are suffering from loss and you know, had to deal with a spouse or a loved one with a terminal illness, I still wish I knew how to handle that
like
better.
You'll never had the conversation, you know, you're going to die.
And how do you have that conversation? And I did a lot of soul searching about, did I handle that right? Did I, you know, I think there's a line in the book where I said, I did everything I could to help Jay live. I wish I had done a better job helping him die. You know, and so...
what do you think he would think? I mean, you really...
I don't know. I think about it because, you know, I write a lot about, you know, some of his hobbies that my daughters have struggled with. He was really fascinated by the Civil War, and Ellie and Carrie have been trying to square that and understand it. You know, listen, I hope Jay would be proud of me. I know he would be proud of all the work I've done with colon cancer because, you know, I've been able to help people, you know, take active measures to save their lives. And it doesn't get much better than that. But there's the Jay and the girls. But, you know, I wonder what my dad would think, Jenna. I wonder what my mom would think, you know. It's hard to be vulnerable. You know, I think, you know, Brene Brown encourages us all to be vulnerable, but once you are, you're like, holy cow, I'm feeling pretty vulnerable. But I can't imagine writing a book and not really being honest about my experiences. I mean, what is the point? But so you have something in your library? I don't know.
One thing you've always been since I've known you is honest. You've always told
and
the
very
truth.
direct,
And
right?
I know. Yes. I remember. Direct. But you have always been that way, and this book is that too.
Yeah.
Katie, thank you for being
well,
with
thank
us.
you guys for having me.
By the way, I left out any questions about my family.
Oh, yeah.
You can take that up with my dad.
That's a separate thing.
That's a different political interview.
Yes,
we won't go there today.
But Katie's book is called Going There. It's out October 25th.
And her mom is in it.
Yeah, they sure are.
They've been talking about it.
Got another big one for you tomorrow. Olivia Newton-John will be along to celebrate a special anniversary with us.
And Lydia Bastianich is here to share some Italian favorites from her new cookbook.
So make sure to tune in tomorrow on Today. Have a great Tuesday.
Hey, Today All Day. We've got a great show for you on this Tuesday morning, including an all-day exclusive chat you can only see here. We kick it off with Carson giving us all the buzzy headlines with Pop Start.
Best time of the morning.
There it is.
Pop Start
had his coffee.
Bam!
Thank you, Uncle Al. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Let's get right to it. First up, Princess Diana. A reception at Kensington Palace to remember Diana and thank those who contributed to make a new tribute statue possible, set to take place tonight. Pop Start correspondent Molly Hunter is here with all the details. Hey, Molly.
Hey guys, good morning from a very windy Kensington Palace. That's right. So Kensington Palace says tonight is a private event. We understand that there will be a lot of high-profile donors and benefactors there to celebrate the legacy of Princess Diana.
This morning, preparations are underway for a party fit for a princess. Months after Prince William and Prince Harry unveiled this statue of their mother in a small, intimate gathering, today a larger private reception, postponed because of COVID, a moment to acknowledge those who made the statue possible.
This wasn't paid by the British nation, it wasn't paid by the UK government, it was paid by donations and benefactors.
Now open to the public, overlooking the sunken garden at Kensington Palace, the statue depicts Princess Diana as a humanitarian, surrounded by 3 children. Both brothers worked closely with the sculptor to bring their vision to life, reuniting on what would have been Diana's 60th birthday. There had even been some hope that the memory of their mother might heal the rift between them.
We all kept our fingers crossed that this was going to be an occasion that would bring the boys together. Those hopes were dashed when the unveiling happened, and then I think people thought, well, maybe October will be the moment they'd come together, and those hopes have been dashed.
But today, only one of her sons, the country's future king, will be here to greet Princess Diana's supporters. Harry, Meghan, little Archie, and Lilibet are not crossing the pond for today's ceremony, a sign that all may not be healed. At home in the U.S., Harry and Meghan recently teaming up with the Wall Street firm Ethic after a whirlwind trip to New York City last month. While here in the UK, Prince William focusing on the Earthshot Prize, the star-studded environmental awards over the weekend, speaking passionately about climate change.
We need some of the world's greatest brains and minds fixed on trying to repair this planet.
Both sons separately doing the kind of work that would make their mother so proud.
Now, Carson, of course, big question. Are we going to see those brothers together anytime soon? You heard Daisy McAndrew says there are a lot of crossed fingers on this side of the Atlantic that maybe, just maybe, Harry and Meghan might fly little Lilibet over Christmas for her very first visit. Carson, I'll send it back to you.
Fingers crossed here, Molly. Thank you so much. Over 10 years of hard-hitting journalism. It means a lot on Pop Start to get Molly's professionalism. That's Matrix Award material right there.
Yes, it is.
Molly Hunter.
Yeah, and they have nitwits riding behind people just like they
and
do
the bike,
here.
the guy in the bike is excited for the story. Next up, Mel Brooks, a 95-year-old comedy legend, is back with a new take on one of his classics. Brooks set to write and produce a sequel series to the 81 movie History of the World Part 1. The original film told the story of civilians throughout history with Brooks' classic slapstick slapstick style of comedy. The upcoming 8-part variety series based on the movie will be co-written and produced by Nick Kroll, Wanda Sykes, and Ike Barinholtz. A cast for the History of the World Part 2 has yet to be announced, but the series is set to stream on Hulu. 95, writing and producing.
How old it was? About 95, okay.
Incredible. Next up, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The lineup of the star-studded presenters for this year's ceremony has officially been announced, and they are Taylor Swift, Paul McCartney, Drew Barrymore, Jennifer Hudson, Lionel Richie, and Christina Aguilera. They're all going to help to induct the incoming class of Hall of Famers. This year's ceremony will celebrate a number of first-time inductees, including the Go-Go's and Jay-Z, and marked the second honor for 3 other artists, Tina Turner, Carole King, and Foo Fighters frontman Dave Grohl. The 36th annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony will take place on Saturday, October 30th. It'll air on HBO, HBO Max, and SiriusXM. And finally, Hoda, it's all about you. Yesterday, you were among the honorees at the 2021 Matrix Awards ceremony, an annual event that celebrates the most outstanding female leaders in the field of communications. Our good friend, your close friend, Maria Shriver, was there to present you with the award, and in typical Hoda fashion, you left us with some lovely pearls of wisdom in your speech.
If you want something bad enough, say it out loud. A friend once said, even if you whisper it in the bathroom mirror to yourself. One thing I always wanted was kids, and I was afraid to speak it. And one day I just looked at Joel, and I basically said, I want you to think about this for a minute. I want you to take some time, because I'm about to ask you something very important. Take a week and think about it. And he looked scared, and I looked at him and I said, I would like to explore adoption with you. And he paused for a nanosecond and said, I don't need a week. I don't need a minute. The answer is yes. So say your dreams out loud. If you speak them, sometimes they do come true.
I want a new Ford F-150 Raptor. I want a new Ford.
By the way,
Carson, you're so shallow.
What?
Carson,
Is it here?
No,
Carson, do you know who the friend was who told me to speak it out loud? Even if you whisper it in the bathroom mirror?
Oh,
bingo.
Well, a former Matrix winner.
Of course.
That's right.
Where's your Matrix? Where's Pop Start's Matrix?
The honorable mention is coming.
It's for ladies, right?
Yeah.
It's a ladies. Well, our friend Molly Hunter, the journalist.
Yes.
And you can give the speech to your pickup truck. That would be
I will. I have one written already. I just need the truck.
Congratulations, Hoda.
Congratulations.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
What if we want more Pop Stars?
Well, that's a good question, Savannah. There's an answer to that, because I am now hosting a 30-minute Pop Start show called Pop Start Plus on our streaming channel Today All Day. You get the latest in entertainment, celebrity news, and some amazing moments from the Today Vault. It is weekdays at 12:30 p.m. You go to today.com to watch, and we invite you to join us today.
All right. Thank you, Carson.
Coming up next on Today Talks in the third hour, the gang goes full on Overheard on Third.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now. Still too close to call.
Lester Holt reporting from the
Ground Zero, as it's being referred to. It is, in fact, the taste of freedom.
The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now? Some of the troops who have been proud. I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. You with some resilient folks. Let me get a hint.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Today in the third hour, it's Overheard on Third, and the gang shows us an impressive and spooky house just in time for Halloween. Take a look.
So excited. We have exhumed Overheard on Third.
Not exhumed.
For Halloween.
Well, it's Halloween.
Exactly. So if you're looking to an alternative to your daily horoscope, you might want to turn to Noodle the Pug. Noodle has captivated TikTok with his daily mood. and through his bones or no bones videos. So it's a kind of a prediction of what kind of day you might have. His owner, Jonathan Graziano, records a video of the 13-year-old dog every morning. If he stands up,
poor guy,
it's a bones day.
What does that mean?
Cause for celebration.
So you're going to have a good day if he stands up.
That's right. But it's a no bones day when he flops back over onto his doggy bed. That's when his owner advises viewers not to take any risks. It's like an emotional Groundhog's Day.
So here's the thing.
Yes.
People are so into this. This video has racked up more than 10 million views.
Whoa. Yeah.
And people were seriously like, okay, he's up. Okay, I'm going to have a good day today. And he's down. I'm just going to be easy today at work. I'm not going to ask for a raise.
No.
I think Noodle's just like, can you leave me alone?
I know.
He's like, can you leave me alone?
He's just living his life.
Just lay down.
He's like, I'm not a groundhog.
That's it, boom.
Yeah.
Speaking of bones, check out these bones. Alan Perkins decorated his Ohio home for Halloween. It looks like a giant skeleton is breaking out of the house. And he said he actually didn't damage his actual roof to make this. He's had an idea for a few years and finally brought it to life. Look
at that.
I love people that go overboard with
you?
Halloween.
Did you
I love, we never did, but like I love when I drive by a house or in New York, you go by a building or a townhouse and it's just got incredible decorations. So
people
cool.
are spending more, I think, on Halloween decorations.
They
than
are.
Actually on Christmas decorations.
We live in a building and there's one floor in our building where they go insane, that the kids get off the elevator and the kids just start crying because it's so scary. But I love that. Yes. I think that's fun. That's
so
the Halloween
growing
spirit.
Up, did you guys decorate a house or
We did a
like
little
that?
bit, but we never went overboard.
Well, there was decorations, but involved toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly. We
you
did a lot of that. Yeah.
Now, speaking of Halloween, Huffington Post spoke to nutritionists about giving out healthy candy or alternative snacks to trick-or-treaters. It's a bad idea. Don't do that.
No apples.
No, they say depriving kids of candy could actually lead them to binge on candy later in larger quantities. So
You know what? I can attest to that in my own house because I was a stickler and still kind of am about candy and no gum. I talked about this. And what's happened is I've created a monster because then now when they get it, they go crazy. So I think, slow and steady runs the race.
You know what was the worst was the pennies. You get to somebody's house and they got like a jar of pennies. It was
What's
like,
that?
what? What is that? And it's gross.
Yeah.
What's your worst candy?
Like one of those like sort of hard rock candies that you just don't even know what it is, and you're like,
like ambiguous.
Candy? Are you a fan of the candy corn?
Yeah, I can do a good candy corn.
Really?
Love candy corn.
See, that's an oxymoron. There is no good candy corn.
Yeah, there is.
So you don't like candy corn?
It's colored wax.
With sugar.
Yeah.
With sugar.
And by the way, the fun size candy bars.
Yes.
They're not fun.
Well, they're fun. You just eat 100 of them.
They're
You
not-
eat like
yeah, but that's not fun.
You eat like 5 candy bars.
You know what would be a fun size bar?
What?
3 times as big as a normal candy.
So there you go. If
That's
you're going
fun.
trick-or-treating,
Just
go to
eat your
Mr.
way
Roper's
in,
house.
hollow it out, and just live there. Hey, by the way, we're looking to answer your kitchen conundrums, this time all about Halloween. So go to our third hour today on Instagram or Twitter, send us your questions, and we're going to try to make cooking this time of year a little less scary.
That would be cute. All right.
Coming up on Hoda and Jenna, it's Tuesday, where we let you pick our outfits for the week. Today, one of our producers helps style us. Don't miss it.
Does the White House think they have an Afghanistan problem or a COVID problem? Do you believe the abortion issue should reflect the will of the people or the will of the elected officials? The vaccine mandate. Is this going to work or is this going to backfire?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism. But when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse. False narrative. Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Controversy in Southlake tonight after teens posted a racist video.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism.
My children were told Rosa Parks is dead. You all have to sit in the back of the bus.
But when the school board presented its plan, this small town fight ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory.
Racism in reverse.
False narrative of rampant racism.
Shame.
This is Southlake, an NBC News podcast. All episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Hey everybody, it's Hoda Kotb from The Today Show. I am so excited to tell you about my new podcast, Making Space with Hoda Kotb. I sit down with some incredible people and we'll hear some uplifting stories.
Listen to Making Space now on Apple Podcasts.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you feel like the bad guy in this? Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in? Has it been worth it to make this trip? Do you feel like you're giving a green light to politicians? How do you explain why your case has become so important?
Welcome back today on Hoda and Jenna. We go unscripted.
All right, so this is an interesting topic. So sometimes when a couple splits up, the woman would like to hold on to the name because she wants to. And this is what happened in Kevin Hart's case.
Yes.
He and his wife got divorced. His ex is Tori. Yeah, she made headlines because she defended her decision to hang on to his last name. She said, I'm going to be a Hart until I decide not to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
She says she's been asked by women why she still holds on to the Hart name. Her response, because it's mine.
Yeah, I think that is an interesting thing. By the way, something so crazy about last names in the beginning. When my parents first got married in Egypt and came here, the way they do it in Egypt is the woman holds on to her family name because how disrespectful to your father and your lineage to just say, well, that's gone. Now I'm this. So you hold on to your last name, and that's just the way it is. So when my parents came here many years ago in the 60s, they tried to book a hotel, and they had different last names. And they had a rule at that hotel that you could not book a hotel unless you were married. And they said, well, we are married. And they said, well, no, you're not. Look at your last names. So they found it peculiar that when you came here, you immediately took someone else's name, kind of said goodbye to your family in that way. They saw it. And then, so when you think about how sometimes Middle Eastern countries are seen as really backwards, how kind of progressive that
is
was.
for the woman to keep her name. It's so interesting because both of us have slightly complicated names.
Yes.
Yours because people couldn't pronounce it.
By vowel. Yes. Yeah.
And mine because it was Bush.
Yes.
And I remember I went to a big public high school, and I was always like, God, please don't say the full name. Just say Jenna. Don't say the full name. And poor Barbara had it even worse.
Because your grandmother.
Because she had a double name. But I think it's interesting.
But when you were, this is a big question for you because you're getting married to Henry. And I just wondered, did you have a moment where you said, well, hold on, I don't know that I want to.
No, I have to say, and as I've aged, I'm so proud of my family and that name, and I'm regained it. But as I was a child bride, as you well know, and as a younger person, it embarrassed me. I didn't want to be out. I was I couldn't wait to be Hager. I couldn't wait to call and make a dinner reservation with a name that nobody knew. As a teacher, before I got married, I went by Miss Jenna.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, there's something about, but that attitude has changed the older I get. I think.
Do you hyphenate or do you?
Well, I was just Jenna Hager, and then I came here, and they were like, but you published 2 books under Bush. So you got to go by Jenna Bush Hager, and now I'm JBH, and it all works out.
JBH does work for you, but I do think you're right. It's whatever makes you feel good and right, to hang on to.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, she took she's got a beautiful group of kids, and she took them all to the premiere of her new film. It's called The Emeralds, and they all came on the red carpet, and it's kind of fun. Because is that what I say? The Emeralds?
But I was okay with that too.
All right.
Look at her whole family. They've grown up.
Yeah, Zahara stood out. She's in that sparkling silver. That gown, look closely, that was the gown her mom wore in 2014 to the Academy Awards.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Now her daughter is wearing it.
So did you know that this is a trend among celebrities?
What, they're rating each other?
Yeah, that kids are wearing their mom's clothes. I know.
Okay.
So here's Brooke Shields' daughter, for example, Rowan.
What'd she do?
She wore her mom's 1998 Golden Globe gown to her high school prom.
Okay, that's so cute. Okay, Courtney Cox and her daughter Coco, they shared the same dress. Why is everyone the same size?
Well, that's what I'd like to talk about.
Unbelievable.
I'd like to just talk about that for a minute because my mom is very small. And
it's so
she's like, she didn't have a big wedding, but she's like, I have the wedding dress in case Barbara wants to wear it. There was no chance that I was going to squeeze into that wedding dress.
That's so crazy, though, how these moms and daughters are all so small. Supermodel Cindy Crawford, her daughter Kaya Gerber, they both wore one of Cindy's show-stopping bustier looks. Wow.
I like to say, imagine me in that.
Oh, my God.
Not pretty.
Tracy Ellis Ross, she raided her mom's closet,
style.
Diana Ross. I mean, Oh my God.
I love her style.
Wait, that's a ringer.
Yeah.
Look at Diana Ross and look at Tracy Ellis Ross.
Tracy Ellis Ross has the great taste. Like, she always looks super cool.
By the way,
and in color.
She's one of the coolest people.
So, would you raid anybody's closet? Have you ever worn your mom's clothes?
Oh yeah, I wear my mom and I. Yeah, we.
You share her clothes?
Well, yeah, because she picks my clothes, and often she picks one for her, so we have the same thing. So it's cute. We do.
Do y'all
that.
ever match?
Sometimes, yeah.
You go out and you're wearing the same outfit as your mom?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like
AKA Laura Ashley from the 80s?
Like sweaters, like she'll get one for her and one for me. Yeah.
And you both wear?
We'll both wear it.
Is this you in the same outfit?
No, but we like a cold shoulder at our house.
Yeah, I do know that. But don't you feel like cold shoulders are kind of gone?
I think so. You told me they were. You said someone. Yeah.
Somebody
told us. All right. It's Tuesday, and this is important because we're gonna get someone to help us pick an outfit, and we have a very, very stylish member of our staff.
We adore her.
We adore her, and she is going to choose what we're going to wear. We all want to dress like Allie Berger, but we don't have it.
Look at Allie.
Wait.
She's in a jean jumpsuit with a jean jacket.
And just real quick, this is Allie on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This isn't like, hey, put on something. This is just what she wears.
No.
So she is our special producer, and she's going to help us. And her equally fashionable kids, Joaquin, Valencia, and Lucia. Yeah, look at them.
Did they pick out our outfit? Yeah, look how beautiful they are. Did they pick out our outfits?
This is Allie did. Allie chose. Okay, so this is what Allie chose. Oh, I
Let's talk about Hoda's. Here are Hoda's outfits, okay? Oh.
Downtown,
I
Julie
like A.
Brown, baby. Okay.
I like A and I like B. What do you think?
I can't believe she chose something cool for me. That's so unusual.
I'd like to see you in C because two jeans. Oh,
look
here's
at you.
mine.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. You look cute in all those. So just go to hodaandjenna.com, our Instagram page, and reveal your pick.
She's very stylish.
Yes.
I don't know if we can wear it like Allie. Do you think we can?
No.
Maybe not.
No.
It is time for Unscripted, and yesterday was the 51st Annual Matrix Award, which recognizes New York women in communications. And I am so proud because my dearest Hoda Kotb was among this year's honorees. Here are some of the highlights.
Hey guys, welcome to Today. It's a Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hoda obviously does a lot. You know, she anchors the Today Show. She has the 4th Hour.
Hoda does a podcast. Hoda does Sirius XM.
I don't know which book she's on. I can't even begin to figure that one out.
She sews her own clothes. No, I made up the last part.
Hoda's story is so inspirational because she just was up against all odds to even get her first job in television.
Here's somebody who literally drove around with a box full of audition tapes.
And everybody said no.
And finally, somebody saying, hey, you know, I like you. I'm going to give you a chance.
It's 11 minutes before midnight. I'm Hoda Kotb.
She has worked so hard to get where she is, but she never forgets where she's from.
Hoda does a serious news interview along with the best of them.
She's traveled all around the world, and she also has an amazing way of connecting with people.
And that's a gift, and that's what great communicators in this business have, being able to draw other people out. And she has that in spades.
I know you said your life's going to be purposeful, so what is it going to be?
I plan on continuing to magnify this issue.
She'll get stuff out of people because it's this kind of, hey, y'all, you know, hey. Their guard is down, and next thing you know, they're giving Hoda the nuclear codes.
She had been through breast cancer. She had gone through a divorce. And I think she thought to herself, motherhood is not something that's going to happen for me. And at some point, she just woke up and she said, well, why not me?
Oh my gosh. Haley and Hope love their mama. Whenever she FaceTimes me, they're having fun, there's screaming, there's yelling, there's dancing.
She personifies that. It was never too late for your dreams to come true.
I think Hoda is a testament to allowing things to happen in God's time. Things happen when they're meant to happen.
She's somebody who's ever evolving and never satisfied to stop learning. And to me, that is a role model for all women in communications.
Hoda, congratulations on your Matrix Award.
Your career is inspiring. You've put in the work.
And there are no words to express how happy I am for you.
It's recognition of all your hard work that it hasn't gone unnoticed. And Hi. Hi. Even my cat, Sweet Pea, is acknowledging Hoda Kotb.
Congratulations, Hoda. I am so proud of you. And soak it in. And what took you so long, Matrix? Honestly, right?
Oh,
congratulations.
That was such a nice,
I'm going to just send you the clips of all the nice things I said. No, honestly, but I guess there wasn't time, but I'll tell you afterwards. You are awesome. Thank you so much. And
New York Women in Communications, it's a nonprofit and it raises money for scholarships and educational programs.
yeah, okay,
So that's cool.
You should go. Everybody should go right now and see Hoda's remarks at today.com. Today Talks continues after the break. We have an exclusive chat you can only see here on Today All Day.
It was a wealthy, idyllic town forced to confront racism, but when the school board presented its plan, it ignited a national firestorm.
Critical race theory. Racism in reverse.
False narrative.
Shame.
This is Southlake. All episodes available now.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. We'll take you to the front lines of the story, bringing your news feed to life. Streaming live every night. It's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Today Talks and our exclusive content you can only see here at Today All Day.
So we need to confess that since this day's begun, we've eaten a steak dinner.
Actually, if you'd like to see something, I took a picture to document because this morning in our morning meeting, you hear a little door knock, and I thought, who's that? And in comes, I don't know if you can scroll in, which camera should I do it to? A full 3-course meal. And by the 3rd course, I'm talking about her coffee made, was delivered to Hoda's door. And I'm like, is she gonna eat steak and mashed potatoes for breakfast?
You know what happened? They had the cooking segment with the New York Times lady, Amanda, and she made this beef stuff, which was yummy.
Okay, and then I will say, my brain judged, and there was some laughter and photographs. And then once we started kind of talking, what did I do?
You know what you are? You're like me. You're like a mindless eater. You don't even know, because then we looked at the plate and there was
beef
almost
was gone.
And I think what happens is, and I get this way too, when I'm talking, I'm like, and then what? And then I look at the Dorito bag and go like, what happened?
I don't even really eat red meat, and I didn't have a fork. I was just eating the meat with my claws, one beef cube at a time. It was so odd.
That's right, you didn't have a
Why
fork.
did we do that?
I don't know, because we do it, and we did it with the pie that was just here. I think mindless eating is one thing that
we could both work on.
Last night, since we're confessing, are we?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, so we get these ice cream pops that
I've heard
are
about those
really
pops.
yummy. They're really good. So Joel was out for a dinner, and the kids were asleep. And I was sitting down, and I was finishing up a book, and I was finishing stuff, and I ate one. I was like, oh, well. And then I opened the freezer, and there were 2 left. I was like, well, no.
You didn't go all
I paused
3.
a second. I go up to go to bed, and before I walked upstairs, guess what I did?
You went for all 3?
I took the 3rd one up. I have a problem. I can't stop. And the only reason I stopped is because, number 1, I was feeling sick, and number 2, there were none left in the freezer.
Well, and also your children are going to come down, and there's going to be 1 for 2 kids.
And they always go, what's this wrap? They're so good at finding wrappers. Like, did you eat that? Or you smell like chips. I was like,
see, I'm not the person. I don't normally act like that in my own home. I don't know if it's like because I'm hiding from Henry after 27 years of marriage or what. But Henry's that person, and you hear like the kids be like, shaming him. They're like, oh, daddy's gonna eat all our candy later. like, hide the candy from daddy, you know? And I'm like, thank God that's not me.
Wait, have you girls picked their Halloween costumes
yeah.
yet? Speaking of candy?
Mila's going to be a pop star.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. Does she like to sing for real?
Yeah, she does.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, she does guitar.
For real?
On Mondays. Yeah.
She has a guitar? Okay.
She has a guitar that Randy Travis gave her.
What?
I know. When I interviewed him.
Does she know like what a big deal the
I've played that
guitar is?
music of Randy Travis to her constantly, so she understands.
Okay.
But and then Poppy's going to be Glinda the Good Witch.
Okay, cute.
Which will be cute. And Hal's going to be Elvis.
Why is Hal going to be?
Because Mommy gets to pick the costume. I only got a few
And are
years
you and
left.
Henry going to do it, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, I think. Well, Mila wants me to be a pop star too.
Okay, so you'll go with her.
But,
And what about
I mean,
Henry?
And he's every year he picks like a hat in the closet, and he's like, this year I'm a. You know, like work at Starbucks. I'm like, well, that doesn't really work because we'll see.
That's good. Okay, that'll be fun. And I wonder.
What about you?
We're doing like unicorn for Haley, rainbow for Hope. They want to do those, and Joel and I.
It's basically inside Hoda Copy's brain. You should call that inside Hoda Copy's brain. But somebody needs unicorn, rainbow, sunshine.
By the way, here's the thing about life. Everyone was like, you know, all these Halloween movies are so scary and all that stuff.
No, thank you.
No, honey.
No, thank you.
This is it. Whatever comes in, goes out. Whatever
and
comes
when
in,
it goes out, it doesn't go out the way food does.
And oh God. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Today Talks. Keep watching for more of Today All Day if you really want to.
You probably don't. We don't blame you.
We get it. Bye.
Okay.